Hello, guys, gals, and non-binary pals. Welcome to HP to XP. I am Chris, the Dungeon Master for our Adventures in Umbranthal campaign. Before we jump into our story tonight, I have a couple of announcements. If you have not had a chance yet, please do check out our Monday chat show, Keeps and Conversations. Our very own Alt Mirage is hosting and takes questions from you in chat and visits with our cast. We talk about everything from Dungeons and Dragons and tabletop role-playing to anime and all kinds of other stuff that comes up as we go. So you can watch that every Monday at 6 p.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. Pacific here on Twitch. Check it out. Also, be sure you join our Discord community. Our cast is not in chat during our game, but we all are participating in our Discord. So if you get the opportunity, please use the links in both our description here and in chat. Connect with us on Discord, become part of the conversation, become part of the community. Lastly, if you do miss any of our campaign streams live, remember that our VODs are available on YouTube. We post our campaigns on Friday mornings. We also post exclusive content related to world building, character creation, roleplay, and more. While you're there, subscribe, give a thumbs up, comment on videos, let us know what more you'd like to see. And that way you know when we're going to drop new content as well. But now, the adventure begins. Welcome to Umbranthal.
Journey to Umbranthal is produced for mature audiences. The topics and roleplay may be challenging, including instances of violence, power, and race. Our chat and comment sections are a place to respectfully engage with these topics and offer us your feedback.
Leaving the shelter of the cave, the party headed towards Seva in hope of resupplying and preparing to move on to the Commonwealth city of Cassina. Reaching Seva, there was much commotion. A band of Wood Elf refugees fleeing a fire at their encampment in Hosties sought rest and to tend to their wounded and dying. Cloud moved about rendering aid, and Fen found an old acquaintance among the group. The simmering intentions in Hosties had boiled over, and the refugees living there scattered once more. The possibility of escorting the refugees east and down the coast was discussed. However, fearing their presence would bring more risk to these already imperiled people, the party elected to continue north. Cloud met with Seveth, who offered tools of defense and healing for their journey. Moving for 2 days through the Habrock was not without its dangers. The scarred landscape a hunting ground for various beasts and monstrosities. The party was first set upon by a pair of Pyrtons, monstrous birds with heads and antlers of stags and human-like shadows. Surviving that encounter, they were then attacked when they chose to refill water skins by a pond. Without warning, Ankeg bursts from the ground, grappling Maple and Cloud, Maple nearly being dragged underground by one of the insectoids. Skill and a bit of luck saved the party once more. Continuing on, the party came across a traveling mage, Bjorn, a bear of a man set up at a crossroads, grazing his horses. Cloud, seeking to have some of the rubies ground, obtained unexpected information. The rubies the party had looted were a special sort of currency, the sort used to fund wars. The danger of having them and the massive amount of wealth they possessed was suddenly obvious. Setting out for the final moments into Cassina, they needed to navigate the border checkpoint. Anara went behind a tree to disguise herself, the rubies still on her person. Reaching the border, Anara chose to go through the checkpoint alone, with the rest of the party moving through as a group. As you walk through the gate, you cross a gravel path 20 feet wide that follows the city wall. Immediately inside, you see hundreds of people moving about, buildings larger and more densely packed than you've ever seen before, and looking around, you don't see Anara anywhere.
We told her where we were going, yes?
But I don't know. I mean, as far as the rest of us know, I mean, she's the one who you're here to protect, right? You know, like you usually try to keep an eye on her if you can help it.
That's right.
Did you guys have like a meeting place or something? Like, you know, you said you've never been here before, but surely you guys discussed that before we went in.
Ah! Cloud, a man falls crashing into you, howling in pain. He has blood spurting from his abdomen. You hear someone else yell the word assassin and take off running.
Oh my gosh. Sorry. The man has fallen into me?
Yes.
I don't even know if I have a character for that one.
That's gonna leave a stain.
Yeah, right? Is he alive? Do I need to? I guess I.
He seems to be alive right now. He is clutching his stomach and moaning.
And somebody is running off into the crowd.
Yes.
Okay, I will say, I got this guy. Go on ahead, everyone. And I'll heal this guy real quick in case my party wants to pursue.
Maple zooms off towards. Does she see who's running?
Go ahead and make an investigation check.
Oh no.
As soon as Maple takes off, Rice says, Maple, we don't know if we're getting paid for this.
Azir's looks between Maple and Cloud and darts after Maple.
Okay.
That's a 10 for Maple.
Okay, so, Cloud, are you doing cure wounds? What are you doing?
Well, we haven't had a long rest yet, so actually, unless he falls unconscious in my arms, I might just, put him in someone else's arms and follow the rest of the party.
Okay.
If he
Rice
falls
is gonna
unconscious, I'll
lean-
do spare the dying on him.
Okay.
Rice is going to lean over and take one finger and lay on hands him for one and say, I bet I get paid.
Okay.
My name is Rice.
That's a really good point. That's really good use of that.
All right. So you see him sort of shudder with this. Maple, you sort of take off running, not knowing exactly where you're headed, but you see a person running, and then suddenly the person that you were following collapses to the ground. Onlookers around begin yelling, help, help! And you see this man now lying on his side. A jagged hunk of ice is coming out of his chest, and he is now lifeless. The individual, Rice, who you touched, looks up to you, looks up to Cloud, very confused, and you've saved me. He's dressed in these very fine silk clothes with velvet breeches. He wears very fine leather boots. At that, two guards come rushing forward. What's happening here? Who are you? And he points to you, Rice.
I am a visitor, and I just thought I might lend a hand here. Cloud, you... Yep.
Yeah, we've never been here before. We just got here.
The gentleman that you had
attacked us.
saved reaches a hand out and touches one of the soldiers. These creatures saved me. What of my man? Where is he? And two more soldiers come rushing past, and a fifth individual comes striding up very purposefully. Rice, looking at him, you would recognize from the adornment that this is likely some sort of superior. He immediately reaches in, puts a hand on the man who you saved. Burger, please, I must get you to safety. He holds them off for a minute, and looks first to you, Rice, and then to you, Cloud. Thank you. Thank you for your aid. If you're able, please call on me at the Invictus. Ask for Burger Schumpeter. I owe you a debt. The lieutenant now is sort of leaning in and whispering very intently, we need to get you out of here, and sort of scoops him up, and 2 more soldiers come in, the 5 of them pushing this man deeper into the city, the officer giving a curt nod towards both of you. Maple and Aziris, where you are, you can see now that this individual who had the ice coming out of his chest is just completely lifeless. There's no look of any help to be done for him. A couple of the soldiers who had been there come up and take a look at him, look to one of the others, kind of shake their heads and scoop him up and begin to carry him off. The crowd around is... I'm sorry, what?
For my clarification, this guy who's got ice wounds, is this the assassin who's dead?
You do not know.
We do not know. Okay.
The crowd around you sort of is very abuzz and a twitter with everything that has just happened in front of them. But things begin to restore to a little bit of that uneasy normalcy that happens after a sudden shocking turn of events, but where nobody really knows what to make of what just occurred. What would you like to do?
Well, y'all, that was
Weird.
that was unexpected to say the least. It said like Burger Peter or something, and
If you say burger, because that's hilarious.
I've eaten a few of those myself, but I don't know. Maybe that's
make a history check. No, you don't have to make a history check.
I have eaten some of those burgers. Chris, what time of day is it? It's evening, right?
So it is getting into evening. You've got probably an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours before sunset.
Well,
together again.
You can easily regroup. You only ran maybe 50 yards away before this person was dropped down on the ground. You didn't have to give chase or anything like that.
Were there like guards from the city involved in this altercation at all?
So when you came in, all of the guards are sort of right around the main gates as you walked in. There was nobody sort of wandering around this area, so they had to rush up to you. And by the time that occurred, that's when you got sort of those first 2 waves of guards that came up to the burger who had been wounded that you 2 took care of, and then the others that went and tended to the then dead man on the ground.
Okay. And we don't know what the assassin looks like.
You do
Someone
not.
Just yelled it. And
None of you directly saw who this was.
Okay.
Yeah, this all was confusing. I just heard somebody yell out "assassin," and then this burger was talking about how's his man, and then from what y'all said, just fell over with like ice in his chest. They're probably going to be tending and doing other things with him. So it's getting late. It's been a day. Should we at least try to head to somewhere?
Right.
Yeah.
We were looking at the what was it called? Zolvra, the bar recommended by Bjorn.
Yeah.
The bears. And just to clarify, I apologize. I wasn't acting like myself back there. I reacted too quickly before I negotiated something fair for us all.
I think
it
Maple,
was a good thing that you did that.
Maple is rejoining the party by kind of like dragging her axe behind her, like in defeat, realizing she was way too slow for whoever just took off. And she'll just like sheepishly look at Rice. right? I'm sorry for thinking this, bud, but when Anara gets scared, she feels backed into a corner. I don't want to say maybe I thought somebody would have seen who she really was, and maybe she was attacking folks, but we didn't see her, so I'm pretty okay with saying it wasn't her. But we didn't see her anywhere, bud. I'm just telling you.
Right. I assume that she is gone to find somewhere to fence all of that, and she has a fairly good idea of where we're headed, so I'm certain she'll find us at some point.
Okay.
But-
Well, I mean,
Not-
if that's okay with you, bud, I just wanted to give you an update, so we can go ahead and go to bed. Rest sounds really nice to me right now. I've never been more tired in my entire life. I'm not gonna lie to you guys.
Oh, I think that sounds good. And Rice, I know that you like to negotiate a lot, but I'll say that having just done that without negotiating, you might have helped actually establish a bit of trust with some people here, which might end up being profitable down the road. So I know it's not your normal style, but it might have helped out.
Perhaps, Finn. He did call me a creature after I saved his life, so
Yeah,
I
I noticed
don't
that.
have high hopes.
Still fun. I think it says something, and she'll hold up her axe. You're giving gifts, and pointing to the amulet, and you're sticking up for the rest of the group. So I'd say that's a good step in the right direction, eh?
I suppose I still am covered in insect guts or whatever that was, so we probably look a little creature-ish.
Yes, why don't we get to that inn so that we can freshen up and wait for Nara to find us?
Well,
Yes.
let's head on in.
Okay. Which inn are you going to head to? You've heard about a couple.
I'm
Rice
biased,
is-
but I vote for the one that the bear suggested.
I think Zorbra.
Rice is going to ask around about the Invictus. Is that an inn?
So, talking to people, they look at you and literally look up and down at all of you, and they relay that the Invictus is probably the nicest place in town. It is where ambassadors and officials stay. It is a very wealthy establishment.
Well, wonderful. I knew that. I frequent it. Thank you for clarifying.
Well, I know that place sounds really nice, and Cloud, I know, really likes that kind of thing. But I gotta say,
I'm already walking there.
I'm probably, I
Cloud has made their decision, Fen.
well, I just want to say that I usually don't have a pot to piss in, much less a window to throw it out of. So I hope they even let me in there.
Oh, bud, I don't think that'll be an issue. You let us all the way here, and if they let leaders in there, then maybe you'll even get a discount.
Also, Fen, if you have enough money, I've heard that you can do like lots of things. And people just let you do it. It's unfortunate, but true.
Right.
Claude,
and
that's why you're in charge of all of our money. You know how to use it.
you're not the
Cloud's gonna
ugliest.
avoid
widow.
eye contact with Mabel.
Okay, so we are
we
heading
in
to
the
the
fancy
Invictus.
place?
Just,
Yeah,
I'm trying to make sure I understand what we're doing here.
I think
I'm
we
imagining.
head towards the fancy place and follow
Okay.
after Cloud, probably.
All
Yeah.
right. So as you approach, this is a 4-story building. The exterior is whitewashed. The shutters are painted a very rich royal blue. There are large torches on the outside of the building that have just been lit. Above the door is mounted a shield with the image of a lion on it in a field of blue. Around the perimeter are 8 red circles. Atop the shield is a helm, like a jousting style helm, that is flecked in gold leaf. Standing outside the entrance are 2 soldiers wearing armor and adornment like those that you saw lead the burger away. They stop as you approach. State your business.
Oh, we are here to rent a room and stay for the night if that is okay.
They look at you warily for a moment, and
We're clearly very good adventurers with lots of money to spend.
they step to the side and gesture for you to enter. As you
I imagine
as
Cloud
you
is one
all
of
walk
those-
in, they turn and follow you. They don't
Is
say
Cloud-
any more, but they are definitely keeping their eyes on you.
We love microaggressions.
Is Cloud one of those like pull along duck toys where you have the mama duck and then all of the baby ducks collected by string? And that's like all
Absolutely.
of the rest of us as Cloud walks in.
So you enter. There is a desk. There is a very fine looking human gentleman standing there in very nice clothing. He sort of shudders as he sees the five of you. May
Rude.
I help?
Oh yes, so I'm so sorry for our attire. We have been out doing very dangerous and also very profitable work. But we
see.
would like a place to freshen up if we could get rooms or a room. I'm not sure what
We-
they are here.
We have rooms to let and a bath if that's needed.
Oh yes, ones with baths are great. How much is like one room for like a person, or is it like 2 people per room?
We have singles that are 5 gold a night, doubles are 10, suites are 30.
Okay. So our this is tough. How many people can you put in a suite?
we could accommodate all of you in a suite if that is what you wished.
Okay. Does it like have like fancy stuff in it?
He
I
looks
see.
around the hotel as though you have no
Alright,
idea where
alright.
you're at. Yes.
Does fancy mean that the bunk beds are pre-made?
Yeah.
But,
It,
well,
yes,
Maple,
the attendants keep the rooms quite nice.
I don't think you'll need to make any renovations this time. I
Please,
think
no.
they have specialists for that.
Yes.
Cloud will take 30 gold and give it to him and be like, perhaps we will move to a different room for the next night, but we will stay here for the first night. And then, what is your name?
Very
Victor?
good. My name is Kalas.
Sorry, Collis?
Kalas.
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 Kalas. And I have one last question for you. Where do you
Yes.
go shopping for your clothes?
Well, there are some very lovely establishments just in the center square here. I highly recommend Vistrom's Tailors.
Thank
We'll have to
you.
stop there, Cloud. Sounds exciting.
Clearly, we do. I assume we have some key and
He passes across a key. You have a room on the second floor. He has said that he will send hot water up for bathing, so you can.
Everybody jump into the hot tub. Let's
You
fucking
will.
go.
Seriously. Yeah, seriously.
I mean, it's a nice place, but it's not exactly indoor plumbing given the era that we're in. So if what you're looking for is more than just a fancy traveler's wash up with a wash basin, but with hot water being brought and whatnot, you can ask about the availability of a bathhouse or something like that. But this is certainly a space where you can very readily clean up and prepare yourself to present yourself to people of higher standing.
Mhm.
Well, I had one more thing as well.
Yes.
We learned that this establishment, after helping a burger Peter.
Burger Shampita, yes.
Yes. He had mentioned that we should drop by and see him here. I'm not looking, I don't think we are looking to see him right now because he just had a very trying episode,
He
apparently.
snaps his fingers and one of the soldiers comes walking over. You should speak to the sergeant here, I think.
Sergeant, thank you. I was just curious. We learned of the Invictus from the burger, and he had asked us to maybe speak to him. I don't think we want to bother him right now because we understand that he just had a trying episode out there. But I didn't know if there was a way. Is this an establishment that we would possibly see him at at a future time?
Will you be staying here?
We are staying the night, and then Finn just kind of looks awkwardly, very, very unused and a little bit uncomfortable. But yes, we are staying here.
He looks at the sort of the front desk man, who immediately tells him what room you're in, and he just looks at you and says, "I will let him know you're here. I'm sure he will send for you. Who, may I ask, are you?"
Oh, we're just five buds. Okay, we met on the road.
How
he was
can
a very nice and handsome man.
how might I introduce who is asking for him?
Okay, buds. Maple's addressing everybody very concerned. We don't have a name.
Stall while we think.
Aziris will turn to the sergeant, was it?
Yeah.
And just say, I think if you just let him know that the ones who apparently saved his life are here, I think that will remind him enough.
That will be sufficient. Thank you. And he goes ahead and sets off up the stairs.
As we're walking to our room, be like, the lifesavers. The Cloud's just randomly saying random things that could be a name.
Maple is furiously nodding while saying to Cloud, Cloud, you're gonna be coming shopping with us this time, so maybe we should all get matching shirts.
Cloud.
Yes. Lock the room.
Okay, as you enter the
sorry,
room,
Bryce, I didn't know that.
As you enter the room, the entire space is immaculate. The windows reach from floor to ceiling. The ceilings here are about 12 feet tall. There are windows on the front of the building that have a material you probably have not seen before in them. They are translucent, but closed. They're not just open to the outside world. There are curtains hung on either side, sort of heavy tapestry-like curtains. As you walk in, there are a couple of large chaise lounge type rests, as well as several other large chairs. There is a very good-sized dining table that is set for 8. There are several doors off of this space, 2 of which give way to bedrooms that each have a very large single bed, larger than a normal single bed, and then one room that has an incredibly large bed. There is a 4th room off to the side that has chamber pots, wash basins. There's linen for cleaning up with, things like this.
Well, Finn is trying not to touch anything and he's just muttering to himself, this is like my grandmama's place. I wasn't allowed to touch anything in there. But look, I guess over there is a pot and piss in for a change. So that's a step up. All right.
Yeah, start over there, Finn.
Good for you, Finn. Aziris is going to, after looking around in awe a little bit, he's going to step next to Rice and just say, Rice, once we're done freshening up, I think perhaps we should go and look for your sister, since this inn was not part of our discussions before.
Fine.
I mean, if you don't want to.
I'll think about it. I was just thinking about the group name, actually.
Really?
Right.
Any fun ideas?
Well, the Burgo Pita master called us creatures. Why not creature feature? Something like that. Think it suits us. Everybody
Worth
knows who we
bringing-
are. Nobody wants to fuck with us. Right?
Sure. Worth bringing up to the group.
I'll get some poster board and like markers, and we can write different ideas down and like circle them and stuff.
Oh, Claude, you should definitely do that, but I feel like you have the best handwriting out of all of us here.
Rice, I think the
Claude is-
group's going to put a pin in that and come back to it.
But maybe I kind of like it. I don't know. Mine's not better. I was just throwing that out in the air.
Finn's still marveling at the chamber pot and how exquisitely made it is.
It's porcelain. It's beautiful.
This is like nicer and more expensive than anything I own. And we all know what goes in there. Oh Lord.
We can totally afford to stay here for another 3 days. So.
But Cloud, I know this is important to you, and I also just want to take this opportunity to thank you. When we were in Siva, you went out and were helping a lot of my people, and that really meant a lot to me because a lot of people just turned a blind eye. And so for me, I'm not used to this kind of luxury. I've seen it before, but I hadn't really in a long time. And so I'm more than happy to stay here because I know you like a bath, and I'll even take one to get some of my stink off. But partially because I know I need one, but also just because I want to say thank you.
Of course, Finn. I think that you did a really great job getting us out of that cave, which was very helpful. And also, I'm not really used to this, but like at this point, like 10 seconds in, I'm used to it. So, still new.
There's a knock at the door.
Maple's currently sprawled out, like with her arms up and her legs out and her axe over the side of one of the chaise lounges. So that's what whoever is knocking is going to walk in and see.
Right.
Well, I guess we should answer it. Maybe Cloud Rice.
Rice will go over and
Oh, okay. Yep, Rice got it.
answer
Okay,
the door.
you as you open the door, there are 2 hotel staff, each of them carrying buckets of water that has steam coming off of it. For your baths.
Right.
And they
Thank you.
They come in
He's
and
gonna-
they place it in the bath as they are hustling things about, kind of getting things laid out for all of you. They're trying very hard not to look at you very confused. They are very well trained in their jobs, but you don't exactly smell the way they're used to people smelling when they come in, so they're a little bit fascinated by who you might be. As they bustle about and head out, there is another knock at the door that is still open, and standing there is the sergeant who you had spoken to earlier. He does not wait for any sort of acknowledgement before saying, the Burgo will see you, and points to Cloud and Rice whenever you are ready.
Oh, like in this building?
Yes.
Okay, well, how about like, 20, 30 minutes so that I can take a quick bath?
I shall be waiting here. And he steps into the hall.
Like, awkwardly close the door on him.
It's fine.
Personal space is important.
And then, like, Cloud's gonna head off to the bathroom.
Maple instantly sits up, realizing Cloud needs to be as presentable and floofy as possible. She is fully willing to help, like, fan a towel or anything to make this happen. So, unless she's excused, she is, like, waiting at the door of wherever Cloud is.
Well, while baths are happening, Aziris is going to take a seat somewhere decent, which I suppose is anywhere here. I could sit on the fucking chamber pot and it'd be decent. But
It's
he's
pretty nice.
he's gonna find a table. And while he waits, he is going to start copying over Ray of Enfeeblement into his book.
Easily done.
And he is not getting bug guts all over because I don't believe he got hit at all or got near any of that shit. So
Okay.
Rice, on the other hand, was deep into bug guts, so he gets awkwardly into. Is there only one bath, or is there
There
more than one
is
bath?
only the one space,
Oh.
but
Cloud, I don't know how to tell you this, but unless you want to do all of the talking, I need to be clean too.
All right, I'll go faster. And Cloud will hurry up and get out so Rice can go in. I'm out now.
And then
easily done.
Rice awkwardly, like a young teenage man who's not quite comfortable with others seeing his body, positions himself to undress and get in the bath and then get cleaned
I think
up.
there's a door. You're good.
There's a door. This
Oh,
is
okay.
a nice place.
He firmly
there are
closes
actually
the door.
doors on the bathroom.
Yeah, he firmly closes the door.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's not Marine Corps boot camp. There's actually doors.
There's other
between
things.
stalls.
Weird. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Fair enough.
All right.
Yeah.
So
He only spends a couple minutes in there.
sure. So the two of you get cleaned up very easily. Is there anything you want to do before you go to meet with the burger?
I'm okay to go, but if anyone else has anything they want to do, then I'll pass the floor.
Rice is ready.
Mabel just okay, so please tell the handsome man that we all say hi, okay? We'll just be up here if you need anything.
I know y'all would all like to witness this special occasion of me getting a bath, but I understand you have more pressing business right now. But I swear I will smell a little better next time y'all come. By the time y'all make it back.
there's a small giggle from Aziris, who is hunched over the table writing.
I think Fen, you should have Aziris give you like a little bit of a makeover. We'll be so excited to see what it looks like.
Oh well, we might have to lead that to. Let's baby steps that one a little bit. That might be a bit traumatic for me at this time. I'm not saying never.
Aziris glances over his shoulder and just says, "Besides, I think it'd be fun if you were there too, Cloud."
That's true. That's true. We could all decorate Fen later.
I think that's a great idea.
If Finn is having recollections of a nightmare when his sister had invited a whole bunch of friends over for a party and they all just went nuts.
Don't worry, Fen. I won't put my hands on you unless I really need to. So
That's appreciated, Rice. But yeah, we're all good. I'll keep all of this in mind, y'all.
So you two, Cloud and Rice, step into the hallway. The sergeant is sitting there. Ready?
I suppose so.
He heads to the stairs, and you ascend 2 more floors to the top floor of the building. As you come out onto sort of the top of the staircase, the floors here are slate. This is not a hall with lots of rooms. There is one large sort of foyer space with a single set of double doors at the far end. The floors here are slate. There's heavy carpets laid about, very ornamentally carved and gilded furniture. There is a table sort of off to one side, and there is a fire burning 1 foot above the tabletop. Clear opening underneath where the fire is. There's a group of people gathered around the fire who stop speaking and look at you as you come up. The sergeant gives a very courteous nod and ushers you over to the double doors. There are 2 more soldiers standing outside, and they both sort of pop to attention as the sergeant walks up. He knocks gently and opens the door. You're ushered into a room that makes the one cloud that you've rented look absolutely tiny. It is massive. The ceilings here are a good 5 feet taller than those in your room. There are French doors that lead out onto a balcony that are open. The gentleman that you had helped, who identified himself as Burger Schumpeter, is sitting on a chaise, still sort of holding his abdomen tenderly, but as he sees you enter, he stands to greet you. He reaches to you, Cloud, first to shake paws. Hello, we've yet to be properly introduced, and then reaches to shake your hand as well, Rice.
Rice gives a gloved hand.
I am Burger Schumpeter, conciliator to Praetor Forbitus, and you
I don't know
are...
what half those words mean.
and you are... And he looks to each of you.
My name is Rice. No titles.
Understood.
My name is Cloud on the mountain, and it is very nice to make your acquaintance.
It is...
Rice looks at Cloud.
Cloud
Doesn't
look
say
at
anything.
Rice.
Okay. I owe you a debt of gratitude. You have done me quite a service. I was not expecting such trauma to befall me. Alas, my god did not survive, but he went to give chase. So, but I owe you a debt of gratitude for your care and your healing, and I hope that you will accept this honorarium. And he reaches out and gives you a small leather pouch, Cloud, and when you feel it, you can tell that it has coin in it.
Wow. I will hand it to Rice and not look at it because I'm assuming that might be rude. And say, thank you very much. I feel a little bit bad because I don't understand really who you are, but we're very glad to be able to help.
May I ask what brought you to Casino?
Jobs. We're adventurers, so we're looking for jobs.
I see. Well, I am Burger Schumpeter. I am a counselor to one of the praetors. I trust that neither of you have spent much time in our commonwealth. Praetor Forbitus has just recently returned from campaign on Closthall, and she is due to be invested as Praetor of the Commonwealth. There will be a festival tomorrow evening. I brought notice of her investiture and will be proclaiming it here tomorrow. The coin is small thanks for what you have done for me, but perhaps if you are looking for work, I can offer an introduction.
Yes. DM question real
Yeah,
quick.
sure.
I, Steph, still do not kind of understand.
Sure.
So is there there's a
I will give
curator
you the
spell?
bullet-pointed list
Yes,
for what you
please.
would sort of have gathered at this
Thank
point.
you.
You would know that that the Commonwealth has sort of this weird structure that you've heard about. It sort of has a military feel to it. Most of the senior political leaders also serve as sort of generals on campaign across the land. Not all of this is familiar to you. So much of this is very hazy. Rice, you know about as much as Cloud would. Fen probably knows more than either of you about the Commonwealth and can fill you in on some details there. But what you would be able to gather pretty readily is that this gentleman that you've saved is sort of a senior advisor to one of the senior leaders of the Commonwealth, and that he is here for this festival. Beyond that, pretty much beyond what you would know.
Okay. Do we know about this one of any of these leaders, like how many they are? We just asked Fen
You
later.
don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cloud will look to Rice in case Rice wants to say anything.
Sure. I suppose we'll talk about work after tomorrow night then. Is that your preference?
I can provide you with information now, and you may do with it as you please if you are looking for that.
Oh. Well, if you have it written down, that is even better. It's just that,
Well-
sometimes I like forget about stuff.
I will. He looks over at an aide and sort of makes a gesture like, write this shit down for them. If you go to the Zovra and ask for
Go to the Zobra?
Zovra. This is the same bar that Bjorn told you about, or the same inn that Bjorn told you about.
Translation bear bar.
Gotcha.
Go to the Zovra. Ask for Master Cordris. He can make use of freelancers such as yourself. You may tell him that Estron sent you, and we will provide you with a letter of introduction that you can give to him.
I'm sorry, can you say that name again? You said
Cordris is who you are looking for, and you should tell him that Estron sent you.
Is
First-
Estron...
Estron.
Is Estron this somebody who, he's, the advisor for, potentially? Can we deduce?
Make a... Are you directly asking, or are you just trying to
I'm
deduce?
just trying to deduce. Stupid questions.
It's a name that he's giving you as means of introduction. You can't really tell beyond that.
All right.
perhaps I'm mishearing you, but you said Coldris, so I happen to know more than one. Do you happen to know which one it is?
Vom Codris?
Vom?
Vom.
DM, would Rice know that name?
Not at all.
Okay.
You also wouldn't know the name Codris.
It just sounded like Coldris.
Yes,
sorry.
it's not. No, that's
Okay.
all right.
Yep.
Yeah. Codrus.
Okay. Okay.
However,
We need like tooltips. Got it. Okay.
Well, thank you.
thank you,
Sir Burger, son Peter.
Shumpita.
Yes, and Claude will do kind of like a mimicking bowy thing. Like maybe, I don't know.
He nods very gracefully and smiles in your direction and to you as well, Rice. If
Rice just kind of looks at Cloud doing that, but doesn't make any movement to bow.
I understand that you are staying here, I do hope you enjoy the festival tomorrow. If things go well with Codrus, I will send for you. There may be more opportunities. He will let me know if things work out.
Well, if I could,
we won't let you down. Oh, go ahead.
I have faith in you.
if I could trouble you, just out of curiosity, do you know where the lodge is located?
He looks over at one of his people, and as they come over with a letter of introduction, explain sort of, okay, from here you want to head, to the northeast of town. It's a little bit beyond where the center part of town is. He's not going to get into a discussion of directions with you. He is now done with you. He has now headed back into another room and lets one of his aides escort you out.
Okay, and then the aide does give me a good general direction, at least?
Yeah, points you in the right direction, explains
Cool.
vaguely how to get there. It's easy enough to ask directions on the street of people. Yeah,
Cool.
not a problem.
We head back, and while we head back, Cloud will be like, the Monster Mash Group? No, that doesn't sound right.
Monster Bash.
So you head back to your room. It is now probably, given the amount of time that it's taken for you to sort of get over here, get settled, get cleaned up, go speak with the burger. It's now after sunset.
We relay all of the information and check to see how much money is in the pouch.
Okay, within the pouch, there is 10 platinum.
Ooh. That's 2 platinum each. That's so many more nights in the hotel. All right, everybody gets 2 platinum.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Whoa.
2 big ones. All right.
What would you like to do?
Well,
You all come back to at least Maple and Fen are now clean. Did Aziris bathe?
I mean, after everybody else who was covered in bug guts and Aziris who was not, he will absolutely freshen up, but probably will not share the same bath water for now.
The hotel staff have come back and
Perfect.
refreshed water.
In that case, abso-fucking-lutely.
Nice.
We're so clean.
And again, we're just back to completely soaked. Looks like a drowned fucking rat.
so Aziris's face is still covered by the hair, or did
Oh,
the
of course.
wash okay? I was just all right. Clarification.
Just
Just
wet.
saying
No,
it.
don't worry. I will describe his face if you guys ever see it. Don't get your hopes up. He just has a face.
Yeah, so you guys
Mystery.
walk back in. Maple is now sitting at the table. I'm assuming Aziris is still sitting at the table.
Probably. He's staring at his book, wanting to work on it, but does not want to lean over it and drip all that water on it. So he's just kind of staring at his book quietly.
There were towels. You were able to
Oh,
dry
I know. I'm just
Okay.
I'm just teasing.
All right.
Maple's
He's
just kind of
not
mumbling
using
to
them.
herself, probably at Aziris, but Aziris probably isn't listening. Okay, the band of buds, the band of best buds, the bands of bear-loving best buds. Oh, I like that one. That one's good.
That one is
Oh,
good.
thanks. And Maple's absolutely beaming when Cloud walks back in, kind of in a like, look at us, we're clean way.
I'm very impressed.
Rice is going to go downstairs to the bar where he can keep an eye on the entrance.
Easily done.
Cloud will relay all the information from the conversation, and I don't know, Fen, if there's any information that you know about this area or this festival that's happening. I don't think Cloud would.
I don't know
anymore.
about the festival. I mean, generally with the Commonwealth, I mean, it's with the history of it. There was like a collection of various tribes in all points, and over its history, it took a while. They kind of formed a unified government, either through negotiation and other things, and then there was some conquest. So I think each of those individual areas still has leaders, I guess, as you were saying. I guess somebody is like a general, but who also therefore has political power. So that's my most general understanding about the festival. I admit I usually keep a lower profile when I come up here, so I haven't been to a festival that I'm aware of up here, but it might be a nice respite. It does sound promising, at least, that they are willing to make an introduction for us. I mean,
Question. If you don't mind, sorry. A festival. Could you explain?
oh well. Have you ever heard of a tilt-a-whirl? No. Well, it's usually like some kind of
It's
celebration.
fancier than
or
a county
party.
fair, but not quite as fancy as a beheading.
Have
Somewhere
you
between
ever-
those.
Have you ever heard of Night Ranger? No. Usually it's they have some kind of celebration where there'll be some kind of public spectacle, and usually there'll be special foods and other things to eat. There might be games. Usually there might be even some theater, things like that. So it's generally just an excuse for people to have a good time.
You can't see this, but Azirus's eyebrows have just slowly been raising as you've been explaining this. And he just kind of like tilts his head and strokes his chin, just goes, I see. My understanding of celebration, I imagine, is quite different, so it'll be interesting to see what this is like.
Yeah, I would avoid your past form of celebration at this one. We just got into town, so and I know that that's your past, but that's just my take it for what it is.
He just kind of chuckles a little bit and nods.
Hey Finn, I like to party by arm wrestling. So do you think there might be some other folks that maybe would want to partake? No offense to any of you guys, but I could absolutely take each and every one of you. And I just don't think it's a good idea because I don't want to break any of your arms.
Well, I appreciate that because I don't want my arm broken. I'd have to pull back my bowstring with my teeth, and while possible, I wouldn't be at my best. But I'm sure there's probably going to be some arm wrestling. They probably have other sport or games of strength and things that'll be right up your alley, Maple. Maybe they like tossing logs or barrels. I'm sure there'll be something for you to do.
Azirus definitely was considering the arm wrestling because he remembered it has to do with touching hands, and he's just like,
Yeah, Maple's really excited. She's red. She's really pale now that she's bathed, so she's extra red in the face now.
I guess the only question is like, do we want to go to this bar to meet with this Master Fodris tonight, or save it for tomorrow? I don't know.
I'd say let's go in the morning. We've had a heck of a day just getting here, and there's been a lot that's happened. So I don't know about y'all, but I don't even know if I'd be able to pay attention enough to really understand what they'd be offering, and I want to make sure I make a good decision.
Okay, well then I guess all that's left to do is to split up who's sleeping with who, eh?
I'll sleep elsewhere.
He looks at the table he's sitting at and just goes,
I think here is nice.
Don't worry, Azirus. After a few nights, you might get used to it.
Yeah.
He looks at the beds, or the bedrooms, I guess, and just kind of like,
I don't think I'll fit.
Maple gestures to the two chaise lounges. But I could put these two together for you. I don't know if it's gonna be quite long enough for you. You're awful tall. But it would be something.
Azirus, you would easily fit in the largest of the beds.
good to know. He does not know that because he did not look very closely. He's
That's
just
fine.
assuming.
How many beds is there again? I forgot to ask.
So there are 4 sort of what would be almost like a double bed size. There are 4 beds that are that size, and there's one that is like the size of a California king. So
Okay.
Extra sized king bed. So as you guys are discussing who is going to sleep where, and one imagines restraining Maple from hanging hammocks in the fine woodwork. Rice, are you doing anything down at the bar, or are you just sort of keeping an eye out for what's happening?
Rice will order a drink and then just sit there and wait, watching the door. He's waiting for Inara.
Okay. Nothing transpires as you're sitting there.
Cloud will take the biggest bed,
Okay.
not knowing that the others are smaller. And Razir's won't fit in one of them.
Azirus will, after decisions are made, probably go downstairs to join Rice. But
Okay.
if you had something to say, Sarah, you can go ahead.
It's dumb. Maple's using her nightly whittle to whittle a smaller wooden version of the amulet that Rice gave her, and putting it on the pillow of the bed that is for Rice, so that he knows. And then she will go to bed, probably next to the bed that Cloud is sleeping in.
Real quick before Maple goes to bed, Cloud will actually see Maple whittling and be like, if you ever want to make this new quarterstaff that I got really interesting, you can do that. I'll just leave it here.
But
Just don't break it in half.
you know, you really should have waited to tell me that in the morning time, because no, I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to sleep.
Go to sleep.
Maple she is fighting the urge to decorate this thing, but she regretfully goes to sleep.
Okay.
And just looks around and is just not really phased at all by having to share beds. But he's just kind of like, well, I've slept in crowded quarters a bunch, so and just he's exhausted.
Sure. Yeah. Again, there's enough room. None of you need to share a bed. There's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
You'd
Your
like to
bed.
think that
Okay, sorry. I was picturing
I mean, you
Grandpa
can.
Joe.
I'm not precluding it, but I'm just saying it's, ask for consent. But
I would
Yeah.
love if Fen didn't look at how many beds there were and gets in bed with either Maple or Cloud, not knowing there's an extra one.
Unused to such space. He
Fen
just
has
pops
pretty
into
good
the
perception. Fen's got pretty good perception. I think he can figure out by looking around that there's enough beds for him. So, so if he chooses to crawl into bed with anyone, it is a conscious decision on his part. So,
he gets his own bed for
yeah,
now.
Sure. Sure. Aziris, you head downstairs. Now having cleaned up, you get a few less odd looks, but you're definitely still getting gazes as you go by. You are not spoken to or addressed in any weird way because you have come down from the second floor, which immediately imparts that you belong here. So you walk over and join Rice at the bar.
We'll just sit there, kind of lean over and just be like, have you seen anything?
No.
Perhaps just the two of us out looking is maybe not a good idea, considering where we are.
I wasn't planning to go look because I come to realize that we're not even at the bar we had talked about, and I don't know where she is, so I'm just here, so.
Well, perhaps tomorrow we can check some of the bars we were talking about.
Right. Aziris, I have to ask you something about your prior relationship with your, what would you call it? Your fixation?
My community.
No, not them.
No?
The other one.
That one. Yes.
Him or her, they, whatever. Can't say I know them personally.
Probably for the best. What is your question?
When you came to the conclusion that you didn't want that anymore, how did you feel?
That is a hard thing to answer. So much was happening, and my mind was swimming with many new revelations. So, confused, excited, wary.
Right. Well, I thought about what you said, so.
I'm glad.
Anyway, I'm done talking, so I'm going to go back to bed.
Thank you for talking to me. I appreciate it.
Rice will head upstairs.
Okay.
Xeris will give him a minute and then follow back up.
Okay. You are all able to very easily settle in for an evening's long rest. So you can go ahead and take your long rest.
Yes.
prep your spells and whatnot for the next day and get yourselves ready. Rice, as you are falling asleep, you find yourself picturing a full moon, and the rays of the moon form this bow that come down and touch the ground. And as they touch the ground, as you're standing there, in your dream, you feel yourself standing there staring up at the moon, and as these rays of light arc down and touch the ground, they begin moving and shimmering along the ground, and they reach out almost and touch you. They touch your feet, and you feel sort of a warmth in your chest. And you wake up, and looking outside, it is still dark, but you are fully rested.
Rice, as soon as he wakes up, rubs a hand on his chest and says, "This shit again." Fucking just mutters to himself.
Okay. The rest of you complete your long rest. The sun begins. You are on the east side of the building, so the sun is coming in to the space and illuminating it. You hear the murmur of activity on the street getting louder and louder. Having walked in, you know that this is in the busier part of town, sort of this central hub of everything that is happening in Casino. What would you like to do with your morning?
I would like to order some kind of room service breakfast if there is any. I'm kidding. We can zoom past it. We assume it happens.
It is quite lovely.
Yes.
Maple with her mouth.
This is very likely the first time that Cloud and Maple have eaten off of true, like, pottery dishes.
Is it just fish heads for Cloud, or what?
It's whatever.
Saucer of milk.
Whatever Cloud wants, but it comes on.
My tastes change frequently.
Comes on a very nice platter. So, but no, for the two of you, you probably have only ever experienced like a wooden trancher before. So this is definitely much different than your experiences.
Right. Well, Fen, rest of you, I don't need to see everyone's name individually. I suppose we better get on with it, right?
Sounds right to me. I guess we can head to the Zobra bar. I guess we're kind of on bear patrol, so we might as well go ahead and head over there and see what we can find out.
You cannot make me regret my decisions, just so you understand. You can try, you will fail.
Azirus's eyebrow definitely quirked when you said that, but he obviously you can't see it, so he's just sitting there.
All magic shopkeepers are now bears. Can it?
Wow.
God fucking bless.
Yeah, Maple is absolutely just knee deep in pages of her notebook that are covered in doodles with what she wants to do to Cloud's staff. And she's been discussing them all through breakfast, full mouth or not. She does not know how to handle fine cutlery. So she probably, if it was everything pottery.
Yep. I mean, the silverware is actually silver.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna say if a cup was pottery, Maple probably didn't know her own strength and accidentally, like, grabbed it too hard.
Make a dexterity check.
Why?
Because you're attempting to pick it up.
That's an 8, Chris.
All right. Yes. The first cup you pick up, it actually just shatters in your hand as you lift it. And it's the second one that you're able to successfully retrieve from the table.
Was it water or was it beer?
No. There is no ale being served for breakfast here. There are pitchers of water and hot tea.
Let's
Okay.
head to the Zofra bar.
Yeah, let's do that before this breakfast gets any more expensive.
And if
Uh,
we have the ability to, I imagine we also have time to go to the lodge afterward.
What is the lodge?
The lodge, Cloud, is. You remember when we paid that bear man that you would never forget about to
Yeah.
spy on someone for us magically? It's the other end of this sending stone.
Right. Let's
Or their representative or whatever.
Right. Yes.
Okay, so you're gonna head to the Zovra,
Right.
correct?
Seems
Okay.
like it's her version of a for like a frowny face apology note on the table. She doesn't want to get everybody in trouble.
All right.
It's all right, Maple. That's why I tried to avoid even almost touching the chamber pot.
Well, thanks, bud. You know, that does make me feel better.
Easily done. So, you head out. You are having the directions that you had gotten the evening before. You get pointed in the right general direction, and asking a few passersby along the way, they continue to kind of point you where you're headed. This area of town, you're moving from sort of this very opulent center square into a very still high end but not quite so wealthy area. This has the appearance, the shops are still quite fine, but now rather than there being glass in windows, now you just are back to having sort of an open window where shutters could be closed, things like that, but it's still quite nice. As you approach the building that you've been told to go to, there's just a very simple Z sort of scroll cut above the door. This is a very well-appointed inn, but it's only 2 stories. The second floor sort of overhangs the first by about 5 feet. It's a post and beam type building with stuccoed walls. The outside, the beams are all painted a very deep, rich brown. The stucco, a very nice cream color. As you walk inside, the main floor is a tavern. It certainly lacks the polish of the Invictus, but it is still rather nice. The floors are very nicely painted. Everything looks pulled together. There are a couple of spots that have some seating with carpets under them. There is a fireplace against the one wall that is not currently lit. The windows have been opened to allow sort of the natural light of the day to come in. There's a bartender at the bar and a couple of individuals scattered about, but it's very quiet in here right now. The bartender gives a wave and a hail as you come in.
Hello, yes, we're looking for a, Mr. Fodris? We were sent here...
Codris?
Oh, yes.
Codris. Yes. He points to a gentleman sitting over by the window. You see a very rotund human male with dark hair that is parted down the center and it falls to just below his ears. He wears nicer apparel. He seems to be reasonably well off, and as you approach, you see that he has a large tankard filled with what appears to be wine that he is drinking.
Perhaps we buy him another one of those and go head over.
Rice will lean over to Cloud as they all look after Codris was pointed out and say, Cloud, that's what you can look like after you retire with all the money that you're going to make.
I hope that is not a silly joke, Rice, because that would be wonderful.
I don't tell jokes.
Right. God will buy another wine tankard and carry it over.
As you approach the table, he looks up. May I help you?
Yes, I tell him why we're here and who we met.
Here for a job.
We're here for a job.
Well,
Here for a job.
Very well. This is a bit of a delicate matter. A man in my position makes rivals. Not all of them are scrupulous people. My son is being held by one of these individuals. I could use the assistance of some capable people to get him back for me.
Generally, that's what we do. We kill people and protect others.
All right.
Who are you being held by? Did he say?
He has not yet.
Okay.
Where is he and all of that, if you don't mind sharing the details?
Certainly. I presume you've handed him the letter of introduction you were given?
Yes, I totally forgot about that, but
Okay.
yes, I do.
All right. Having looked at it, he does not hesitate to share details with you. There is a silversmith by the name of Simac. He runs a shop near the northwestern edge of the city. Besides his reputable work, he is also known for less savory endeavors. We had a disagreement about one of those things, and he has chosen to resolve it by taking my son hostage. There is a level below ground at his shop that I know he uses for some of his side projects. I would imagine that Astron is being held there.
That is the name of your son?
Yes.
I have to say, you people in Casino have wonderful names.
He just nods at you.
How old is your son? Sorry, go ahead, Fen, after that.
He is 14.
And I hate to even ask this, but you're positive he's there and he's alive?
He closes his eyes and sort of shudders for a moment. I am not certain. I imagine he is still alive, or I would have received understanding that that was no longer the case.
We don't have to dwell on that. Just tell me normally how many guards he keeps and what type of guards and how rich he is, so I know what he can afford to defend himself with, please.
He looks at you. I do not frequent his place of business much, but he is a very well-known and quite capable silversmith, so I imagine that his resources are reasonably high. Aside from his reputable work, his other activities, I believe, earn him quite a good deal of money.
Well, and a couple things in the name of the shop, but also that's the second time you've mentioned these other unsavory activities. Definitely seems important for. I think we would like to help. No one deserves to be held hostage, but just want to make sure that we understand if it's like a underground criminal thing, or just so we know that we're prepared to be able to successfully carry this out.
He thinks for a minute. Go ahead and make a persuasion check.
Okay. That's not going to be good for me. Oh, that's a 7.
He looks at you for a moment. He deals in goods that he ought not possess, and
Okay.
He's a criminal, Finn.
Assuming that this man is also kind of well known in the city, I assume this is something we should try to do as quietly as possible.
I would recommend that. Yes,
Great.
I think it should go without saying, but were I able to handle this using the authorities, I would.
Because you've done business with him.
He just looks at you.
All right. Well, if there's nothing else we need to know, then we will.
Well, the name of the shop.
Oh, right.
Siamak is the individual. It's his shop. He's the silversmith.
Okay. And so it's just Siamak Silver Shop?
Yeah.
That kind of rolls off the tongue.
I'm sure
Sounds
his
like
parents,
a great businessman.
I'm sure his parents thought of that.
We'll get this handled when we can reasonably.
I understand.
I think Maple probably unable to read the room. Hearing that this man has a whole basement floor for side projects, will go, you know what? I find that whittling really helps me calm down, so I would love to suggest maybe this guy gets a hobby. He has a whole floor to do it. That sounds like it could really do him some good.
Perhaps you recommend that.
That'll be the ultimatum before execution, Maple.
Oh,
Get
sure,
a hobby or
bud.
die.
I have both the suggestion and the axe, so I will definitely take that upon myself. I'll keep it right here, bud. Just remind me when we get there, okay?
Very good.
And should we complete this, I'm just curious, being freelancers, what we should expect in return.
Oh, yeah, I totally forgot to ask that.
If you...
We're professionals.
Totally. Okay.
Yeah, Rice.
I'm back. I'm back. If you bring him home safely, there's 50 gold. If you bring him home safely and Siamak does not survive, there's 200. I don't want to have to repeat this ever again.
I can appreciate your incentive.
Well, thank you for explaining that.
Yeah. I think we're good. All right.
Yeah, I think we.
All of my questions. Yes.
I leave my wine there for him.
Okay. He will gladly drink it.
But did Cloud already drink some of it? Did Cloud go like already like
some
in
cat
it?
hairs floating in it?
It's like
Oh my
fuzzy
God.
wine. No. Rice. Why don't,
He's not.
you think-
He's not worried about it. He's gonna drink it regardless. Yeah.
Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Awesome.
He's day drinking at this point. He's very frustrated and upset. Okay. So what are you going to do now?
Well, the only thing I'm concerned about is that this guy is like kind of important, and if we kill him, we get in more trouble. I don't want to get kicked out of this city.
I think that we obviously don't understand the political situation, but I think it's a reasonable gamble that if we were given this job by someone a little bit higher up in society, that it's perhaps better to be on their side than someone else's side. I think at a minimum, we need to visit it during the day and then visit it again at night. Different members of our party each time, and then make the hit the following day, if we do. I've read a lot of criminal stories, all right? Don't look at me like that.
Oh, bud, you know, if there's anyone who could sniff out bad people doing bad things, it's you, bud. You know, we're putting all of our thoughts into that. I hope you know.
I do think it is important to scout out as much as we can subtly, just because they will have advantage of terrain and things like that. And that'll also give us an idea to know if this can just be a quick operation that doesn't put us in danger and we can just get this kid out real quick, or if it's going to require something that we might have to somehow keep it quiet. But if it's self-defense, that's what's going to be needed, then at least we know.
All right.
Well, I don't know if any of you guys remember, but you know, between my axe and my the gun show, you know, my arms, I once, if you guys remember, held one of our people that you wanted to question with my own two hands. So I'd be more than willing to do that again if the situation presents itself. So just keep that in mind.
Maple, I have a plan.
Oh, you always do.
Well,
I have no doubt.
And along those lines, something we do need to think about is if this kidnapper sees us, they're going to know and probably come back for us as well. So we just need to be aware of that. Maybe there's a way to handle this with minimal observation. But if not, something to think about as we have to go forward.
Would prefer that, but I think Maple's ability to flirt is our last resort if we're about to be found out, I think. She can just flex it whatever guard is there.
Maple, very worried, flips through her notebook. But I have absolutely no pickup lines prepared. You know, if one of you guys would be willing to give me a quick lesson, I'm sure I could work something up real quick. But otherwise, we might be on our own here.
I tell you what, Maple, every time you use the Google eyes, whether it was that wizard or that you arm wrestle with, or whether it was them harpies even, apparently it works. It's quite potent, your Google eyes. I admit I get a little uneasy when you just start eyeing me at times. I'm like, oh my God, she's gonna give me the Google eye too. So we'll try to work it out.
As we, I'm assuming we're headed to the lodge after this. Is that kind of?
I think that's what we agreed on. Yeah.
Okay. I'll just really quick ask the guy at the Zavra, like how much rooms are here, so I know.
So the bartender lets you know there'd be 2 gold a night.
Okay.
That's
plus meals.
We haven't had a job in a while, bar.
Yeah, that's a maybe we're not getting paid very much, or we can't stay at this nice place very long. Continue on.
Yep.
Let's go to the lodge.
If Maple breaks one too many cups, we know where to go.
Okay, so you are going to head straight to the Vanguard then?
Yes.
Okay. So you begin wending your way. You ask some directions. Folks let you know that it's sort of kind of the opposite end of town from where you're at now. Point you the direction. It's about a half an hour, 40-minute walk. As you're winding your way over that way, you see that sort of the status of things is changing a little bit. It's not rough necessarily, but it's getting a little bit more down market, a little bit more where you would see the average city-dwelling laborer or shopkeeper living and working. Along the way, there's quite a few people passing back and forth on the street. Maple, you feel a hand grab your arm. Oh my God, Maple! Maple, is that you? And there is a woman standing there. Oh my gosh, you've grown up so much. Oh, you're the spitting image of your mother. How is she?
Maple instantly gets tears in her eyes.
Oh dear.
No, bud. Okay, hold on a second. Maple's like talking to herself in the third person. Okay. And then she'll turn around. Does she recognize this person at all?
Go ahead and make a history roll.
This woman doesn't look dangerous by any means, right?
Go ahead and make an investigation check.
I don't know.
Rice has a hand on his weapon as soon as Maple's accosted so aggressively.
That'd be a 5, my good sir.
Okay, Maple, you have no idea who this is.
That's a natural 20 minus 1.
Okay, Cloud, yes, this woman does not seem threatening at all. She seems like she has just seen someone out of the blue that she hasn't seen in years.
Okay, yeah, Maple just, you know what? To be honest with you, bud, I have absolutely no idea how the old mom is, you know?
It's been a while since you've seen her. I know the last time your dad came through, he said that you and she were still home. I hope she's well.
Oh, I'm sorry. I have a dad?
Oh dear.
You were quite a wee one when he left. Yeah, I saw him. I mean, it's been probably 6 or 8 years since I saw him last, but he had come back down from the north and come through here before he headed back.
Very sorry to butt in. What is your name? And did you live with Maple?
I would like to know this too. Thanks.
I assume these are your friends. I'm Corin. Corin.
Rice leans over.
Maple was I lived in the town that she grew up in. I left there many years ago, but she's the spitting image of her mother. I couldn't not recognize her if she was going by.
Okay, but I'm gonna be honest with you. You are correct. These are my buds here, you know, but we've known each other for, from what Claude says, just over a week. Claude, is that right?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay. I have no idea how many 6 or 8 is. I'm just gonna tell you that I remember pretty much nothing from my time before meeting these lovely folks. Maple's trying very hard not to cry.
I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
Corin, you don't have memory loss from this village? And are people in this village alive?
Well, they were when I left. It's been many years. I mean, Maple, you've got to be almost 20 now, I would think. So, I mean, I was last there maybe 10 or 12 years ago. I assume folks are still there. I mean, it was getting rough and folks were leaving quite a bit, but I can't imagine everybody gone.
Oh, well, I mean, I'll tell you, but as far as I know, my mom and I were the last 2. So, yeah, we booked it, bud.
Well,
we got out of there from what I remember. Or at least I did. You know, I don't really remember her leaving. And Maple, her face like goes blank for a second. So she very well could still be there, I suppose.
All right. Well, she's looking now sort of very concerned amongst all of you, really unsure as to what's going on.
Well, what was the name of the village that you left?
Madhelm. That's what folks called it.
Madhelm?
Maldhelm. I'm not going to try and pronounce it properly in her accent.
Rice leans over to Cloud and whispers in one of her ears, "Twitch your ear if this is a hag that's cast a spell on Maple."
That's kind of what I'm worried about. I don't know if I could... Oh, okay. Insight check, I guess.
Sure.
To see if she's a hag.
Go for it. Yeah, you can do an insight check and see if she's genuine.
Is she a hag? That's a 19.
She seems completely genuine. She
Okay.
genuinely seems like she recognizes Maple from childhood and that she is telling you the truth about where she's from.
Well,
I
I think that we need to keep you here because Maple doesn't remember anything. And we might just need to, like, mine you for information or something.
at that, I think Maple is just really overwhelmed with one, jealousy that somebody seems to know a hell of a lot more about the only person she can remember loving than she does. And the last person she saw before everything went dark. And two, just because she's upset at the fact that somebody is going to be able to tell the group of people that she has confided in more about her past life than she can. So she will absolutely just collapse on the ground, kind of like hands, you know, like how a kid, when they get frustrated, their kids like fall over their knees, crisscross applesauce, and her axe is like on the ground next to her, and she just like starts crying.
Oh,
Entire time, every time Maple looks like she's about to cry, Aziris has been like off to the side, still looking just completely aghast, just like. But when you finally do that, he's going to kneel by you and just kind of like put a hand on her shoulder.
Oh my
so
God.
she drops down next to you. Dear, it'll be okay. It was hard there, and I imagine growing up, you probably tuned some things out. She looks up at all of you. We suffered a lot in the wars. There was a lot of damage, and lots of folks left. Not all, and some folks left over time, but the wells were poisoned, people got sick. There was a lot of heartache, and many of us, like me, we only could bear it so long, and we left. We tried to find a better life, but Maple's mother was one of the ones who had stayed when I left. I don't know more than that.
DM question.
Yeah.
The necklace that I have that can cast Greater Restoration, would I need the 100 gold pieces worth of diamond dust to do that?
Nope.
Material component?
Nope.
Okay.
The beads take the place of all of the components.
Okay. Would I guess it's a 5th level abjuration. I'm just wondering. I feel like I would know that maybe I could try it. I would try it.
You would have every reason to know, based upon what Seveth had shared with you when she presented these items to you, that Greater Restoration, if this is a curse or something like it, that Greater Restoration would resolve that. If it's something else, then it might not.
Right.
But certainly if it was a disease, if it was a curse, it would resolve that.
Okay. Cloud will take the bead from the necklace and
Before you cast that, Aziris is going to hold a hand up and kind of glance around, because I'm imagining this happened in the middle of the street.
Mm-hmm.
He's just going to say, maybe we should go somewhere a bit quieter before we try anything.
oh, yeah, totally. I thought used to be around a bunch of people.
Have fun, whoever wants to drag Maple.
Aziris is going to attempt to help her up.
Okay. Maple, are you going to resist being helped up, or are you just going to go along with your friend?
I mean, Maple is probably dead weight when Aziris tries. So she'll kind of like collect herself, and she'll stand, but she's crying too much to really be able to see. So
Aziris will take her by the arm and lead her wherever we decide to go that is quieter than the middle of the street.
As we're leaving, Cloud will be like, she just dropped her axe on her toes. Nothing.
Oh,
Well,
Carry on.
all right.
what? Thank you for that.
Not to the person.
Oh,
that
okay.
she's talking to, just the crowd of people. We want her to come with us.
Okay. Oh, all right. I can come with. And
So
you
will
can
find maybe a like.
It's very easy to find either a tavern that you can duck into or just into an alleyway or around a corner out of sight, sort of off the beaten path. Easily done.
I would say let's head to an alley. If we go to a tavern, we're still going to attract more attention. So maybe just a little place where there's less foot traffic.
We find an alley.
You find an alley, easily done. It's a big city. There's plenty of alleys.
Greater Restoration on Maple and be like, I don't know if this is gonna work, but let's try it.
Okay. So, as you use this gem and cast Greater Restoration, Maple, you feel this course of energy sort of shoot up your spine and through your head. It feels as though a shade drops from in front of your eyes, and you blink vigorously and stand up and look around. And that's where we're going to take our break. So, be back in 10 minutes. Grab yourself a drink. Hit the necessaries. We will see you in 10 minutes.
Cliffhanger.
See you in a little bit. And we are back. Thank you to Gambit for the raid. Thank you for everybody who followed, the subscribers. We appreciate it. Again, our cast is not watching chat while we play, but our mods are doing an absolutely awesome job. Shout out to them for being part of the community and helping us. We thank all of you. And with that, we are going to get back to our event. So, Maple, as this spell takes effect and you feel sort of this clearing of your mind, memories just come rushing back. You remember that you grew up in this small community in the Hobrock that was known as Meldhelm. It had gotten that name by the soldiers of the Commonwealth who had occupied it for a period of time. By the time you were born, the war was over, but you still heard stories about it, and the scars remained on the landscape. Buildings that had been burnt and destroyed, wells that had been poisoned, things along that line. The population was mostly dwarves. You sort of were an outlier in that respect, and your mother as well. The dwarves referred to the town as Ullerdor, a name which you now recognize from the note that your mother had left you. After all of the sort of devastation from the wars, diseases, and things like that, many people got up and left town. They would leave pretty regularly. People were fleeing to find new homes, new places. As a child, you were raised exclusively by your mom, and you suddenly remember her name was Oriana. She was tall and strong. She was a mighty warrior in her youth and was trained as a smith. She would tell you stories about your father, a half-dwarf known as Ambershard. You have no memory of him because he had left when you were very little, but she would tell you these stories, and she made it clear that whatever his mission was, it was very important, and that she believed that what he was doing mattered. She would describe him to you as tall for his kind and kind of rugged, with a finely braided beard that came down in these two long braids, and that he was known for having very deft skills with both a mace and a staff. no matter what happened, no matter who left, you remember that your mom always insisted that you two needed to stay in Ulador, that as people died and fled, that it was important that you stay there. And then you remember that the town was set upon by undead, ghouls and ghasts, all sorts of terrible fiends that rampaged through the village, people dying, things getting really terrible. It was at that point that your mother said that you two needed to flee, and you made your way away. At some point, the last memory that you have of her is that she presented something to you and said, you must eat this. It's the only way to protect you. And you don't know what it was, but after you ate it, you know now that's when all your memories were locked away. Everything sort of disappeared. There's much that you don't recall. You don't remember exactly when she then left you, or even if the visions that you had of her death and the stranger that you interacted with were truths or hallucinations. You don't know how long you wandered without her before you met Cloud or any of the others. You do know of Moradin. You know that your mother worshipped Moradin and kept an altar in the home to him. You know the story of his crafting the world and the sacred forge, the anvil, the hammer. You know all of that story, and that all comes flooding back into you. You also now can read, you can write, and you need to add +3 to your intelligence.
Did during the break.
Maple is the smartest person in the party now.
That's
With
not
a
saying
grand
much.
total of 11 intelligence. I would hope not.
So, all of this just sort of crashes through your body as this spell takes hold. Cloud, having cast the spell with the gem, you see that the clarity and beauty that it held goes dull. And you would know from what Seveth had told you that these spells in this case are only able to be cast one time. So I'm going to go take a nap for the next half hour while you guys just figure all this out.
Maple instantly stops crying and kind of darts a hand out and grabs Cloud's paw, slowly looking up at them. Bud, please do not tell me that you let me leave a whittle for Moradin. And he still spoke to me. And like she feels so dumb right now. Like her face goes from wet to red. Can you do me a favor though? And she lets go. Can you ask me how much 2 + 2 is?
What is 2 + 2?
It's 4, bud. It's 4.
Wow. I mean, if you weren't so genuine all the time, all over your face, I would think that maybe you're lying right now or something.
You know
It
what,
didn't
bud?
work.
For the first time in a long time, I finally feel like I'm not.
Ben's just standing there like a slack-jawed yokel. Just,
Yeah.
The woman that had recognized you now is sort of looking around to all of you. What happened?
Warren, I feel like perhaps Maple may have been under some kind of spell.
Oh my lord.
Maple will convey all of this to Orin to hear what they have to say.
We will just be flies on the wall.
My dear, I hadn't heard of any of these undead or any of these things. I haven't seen anyone from home in so many years. you don't know what came of your mother.
I mean, you know what? I know a lot of stuff now. If you would just do me a favor,
Anything.
and Maple takes out, first of all, she kind of stops, realizing she wants to know the answer to that question, but also she wants to read the note for herself. So she takes the note that she had Cloud read to her before and reads it with a once-over.
Okay.
Kind of nods,
Yep.
puts it back. If you will be so kind as to, do you run into anybody else from our town often?
No, not really. It's been years since anyone has come. I kind of make my life here now, and I haven't seen anybody in years. My husband died. I don't really see people come through after we left. We saw some folks periodically. Like I said, it's been probably 6 or 8 years since I saw your da.
Okay. Fun thing. When did you see him go past here?
Last I saw him in town, it was probably 6 or 8 years ago.
Oh, okay. Just making sure it wasn't super recent.
No.
Nice. Okay. If you see anybody that I used to know, I would be very appreciative. And Maple kind of like stops, realizing she uses a big word, and then continues. If you would let them know that I'm here, and I would love to know, or you know what, maybe you could tell me, just give me a direction. Which way was it Ulderor?
Ulderor.
Okay, sorry, I had it spelled really wrong. Could you just point me in the direction? I knew north before. Is it in a direction other than north?
She's a little taken aback by all of this, but realizes that she's a little surprised that you don't have this memory, but she gets it at this point, what's been going on a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah, it's back in Halbrook. Back south. If you, how can I tell you how to get there? So if you were to follow the coast, if you follow the north coast, east, maybe 3 days, and hook south, it's probably, I don't know, it's been so long, maybe 2 or 3 days more from there.
Okay. Maple gets out her notebook and just looks at it like a kid, like handing you an assignment and they're like in kindergarten, so like you don't really understand what they were trying to say. Realizing that that's what she's been capable of writing thus far, kind of shakes her head and writes down these directions. Really writes down the directions with real words. And it feels good.
And
so...
What is that, Ross?
Isn't that the exact same route that the refugees were headed?
I think maybe in that general direction.
We can always ask Bjorn whatever questions Maple has, right?
I think along the way at some time, I do still have that sending stone that he gave me, and maybe after we sit and think a bit about how to understand even Maple's newly found intellect and recovery of memory, I guess. I gotta admit, I'm just baffled, but yes, that we can always find out about the path.
Do you think her flirting is going to get better or worse?
I think it determines on who she flirts with. There's some who probably liked her innocence before, but maybe she'll have a broader appeal now.
I think it'll get worse. Do you want to bet? You know.
Oh,
wait, are you guys talking just to yourselves, or can we hear you?
I'm imagining we're just like 4 feet away.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, it's just standing away, just like whispering to each other.
Are you trying not to be heard?
No, I'm
no.
Okay.
just...
Well,
Maple,
Ross,
you can hear them clearly.
Well,
Okay.
Rice, I'm too poor to paint and too proud to whitewash, so I'm really not much of a gambler. But we can maybe figure that out sometime.
Maple is equally as ashamed of her past flirting skills as you all are, considering her now 11 intelligence was an 8 for that entire time, so she can only remember things as they were with an 8 intelligence. It's not like that bounces back and is applied to all of that time. So she agrees with you, and it is evident on her face by the way she is shaking her head and smirking.
One thing I'm not too clear on is your town still being overrun with undead, like right now?
You know what, bud? I'm not gonna lie to ya. So I think that I've been, out in the real world, because I'd never left home before that. As you guys heard, me rambling. So I have no clue, which doesn't help us one bit. But I would suggest that we put that on the back burner, because as confident in my abilities as I am with my axe, I'll take on 2 or 3 things at once by myself just fine. But with the amount of things that were coming at our toad from all angles, I would very much like to avoid that for the time being. Given that there is no one else there, I would say it's a safe bet to leave it alone for a bit. So I very much like being able to sleep in a bed. That's very nice. Let's just stay here for a bit. Her eyes are very wide and she's trembling a little bit thinking about all of these undead. Because she had conveniently forgotten about them for a minute. So
Maple and Rice reaches over and reaches to slap Maple on the shoulder. If it makes you feel any better, I wish my home was overrun with undead.
Well, bud, that's a very nice sentiment, that is. But I'll go ahead and tell you that I'm not sure whether or not my mom is alive or dead. So, given that little tidbit, I'm not sure how I feel about it. It's a toss-up, really, because I feel like she could have gotten away. But also, I'm not really sure why she would want to hide that very important information from me, so I'm a little bit mad at her.
It can take some time to comprehend, and Maple, I think you're so smart now. I just don't even know what to say, but I do think it does make sense that it takes some time to just gather your thoughts. It's not something we have to act on immediately, and I'm still processing the fact that apparently we were neighbors of some sort. If you're from the Hard Rock, and I understand, at least to a certain extent, what it can be like when a home is destroyed. So I'm sure we can comprehend that and give you some time, because I know that's got to be a lot to process.
Well, you know what, bud? I would love to do it while continuing to help you guys, because if there's anybody that's going to be able to help me take all that absolute crap on at some point, I would very much like for it to be you all. So let's just go ahead and get some of your stuff taken care of first, because like I said, I'm not quite sure I'm ready to face that place again. So let's just keep putting one foot in front of the other and keep moving on with our current quest. Well, I hopefully will be a little bit more help now, though, in making decisions. So that's probably a good thing.
I'm sure you will. And I know we're heading to the lodge. This did cross my mind, just to say that whoever the lodge is, possibly was somebody who was, we're not sure, but maybe looking for us. So we should be probably wary when we go in, just because we just show up there and we are their quarry. Query, I forget what the word is. Sorry, Maple, maybe the curse has come to me now. But just something that crossed my mind as we head in that direction is that if that sending stone on that body we found was somebody tracking us and we just show up, we need to be very, very cautious.
I ought to mention a couple of things before we get there. The lodge, I believe, is a room or a foyer or something within the Vanguard, which is where we're headed. But the Uliston woman that we found, I didn't know her specifically, but my family is Uliston. My father's side. My mother is called Dries. So I have some connection to this. I don't really understand it. And with the Drow delegation having been here, there's something going on, and I think with them having been here weeks ago, there might be something that I don't know if I want to talk to my father, but that is, I believe, a possibility at this point. So long as he will probably try to kill me. Normal. The usual, hey, you're a bad son, I'm going to kill you now. But yeah, I might see what... it absolutely right, Fed, yes. We might be assailed by those who would stab us. Correct. So be ready for that.
When the conversation turned towards our plans, Aziris is going to turn to Horan. Is that right?
Yep.
Cool. And just kind of talk to them separately and just say, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with Maple about all of this. It's clearly had a large effect, and I'm sure it wasn't in your plans, but I appreciate it.
I hope she's all right.
We'll see to that. We'll make sure that she's all right. We don't want to keep you all day. We
All right.
had some plans, but...
She looks over at you, Maple. Dear, take good care of yourself. I don't know what all is happening, but I wish you the best. Oh, of course. And she reaches over and gives you a big hug.
I think Maple will just address Orin one final time. I think, if we're meant to meet up again, hopefully, it's back in tone whenever I finally get all those pesky undead out of that thing, but until then,
all right.
safe travels. She's being very awkward. She doesn't really know what else to say.
And to you, dear. And she doesn't know what to say to you either, so she just sort of grasps your hands and squeezes them tightly and sort of gives a courteous nod to all of you and makes her way away because she's very uncertain as to what all has happened here.
Maple, in other news, will turn to Rice real quick. Oh, Bud, but I guess you could say we're both on a parent hunt, right?
Mine's more of a flight.
Well, still, you need to know where they are and able to be able to keep away from them. So technically,
You're
you
right.
still need to hunt to find where they are. So I think I'm
That's-
still correct. I'm sorry that I'm taking so much time to be right on one thing, but I haven't been right in a while. So it feels nice.
That's perfectly fine. I suppose I'll have to get used to you saying things worth hearing. So that's great.
It's completely understandable to try to work out muscles that haven't been used for a while. So, so definitely, Maple, feel free, and I guess in some ways, welcome back.
Oh my goodness, but I am by no means the smartest one here. But I'm more than happy to give my thoughts a shove into the pot whenever we're having a conversation now. So
Okay.
I won't be in my head as much. No more daydreaming for me, she said as she looks at the wall and is thinking about home before it was overrun with a smile on her face.
Well, I guess with that, Rice, do you want to lead the way to this lodge?
Right. I suppose we ought to get going before we spend all day staring at each other in the street and attracting more unwanted attention. So Rice leads the way to the northeast side of town for looking for the vanguard.
Okay, you wend your way through the streets and get a couple of, ask directions a couple of times, get pointed in the right direction. As you approach, the vanguard is definitely, and yet one more tier down. This is definitely more a common inn, common bar type place. It's an L-shaped building, though. The right side is a single story. Excuse me. On the left is a 2-story space with a very steep pitched gable roof. As you walk in, sort of the smell of meats and dishes wafts down the hall, and you can see to the right side is a large tavern area. As you walk in, though, directly in front of you, there's a desk and a man standing there. There's a set of stairs that heads up to the second floor as you walk in. Can I help you?
Yes, I'm looking for Kotzi. And do you have a room known as the Lodge, or does that mean nothing to you?
I mean, people lodge here. It's an inn. Did you need rooms?
It's just a general term? Oh, wonderful. I completely misunderstood that. Not the first time. I'm looking for Kotzi.
I see. I can send word to him. Who might I say is asking after him?
Rice Uliston.
All right. It'll be a bit. Do you need rooms?
How much are your rooms?
Gold a night.
All right. I'll let you know.
All right. Are you? Grab a drink
We
if you
can-
want. It's
Is this something that's like an hour or two? Like we wait around?
Are you asking
ask-
that, or is Cloud asking that?
I'm Steph is asking the DM from like what's been said.
So the little bit that you would gather is that he has to send word to this person. So you don't know.
All right, then Cloud will ask how long that might take.
Can't really say. Maybe an hour.
Okay. Thank you for your help.
Are you gonna wait here?
I think we should wait here. Yeah. I don't know. What does everyone else want to do?
Should we wait here, or should we is it possible to set a time, and that way we know and we can always come back? And
He looks at you as though he is suddenly very unsure about who you are and what you're asking for. I trust you've never met the man, but I can't rightly say when he'll show, so you may just need to wait around.
all right.
Own time. I understand.
Well,
So we find a table and await.
Okay. So you easily find a table. The bar is not very busy at all. An hour goes by. 2 hours go by. A individual walks up, approaches the table. You see a tiefling with light red skin, tiny horns coming out of their head. They have leather pauldrons and leather bracers, but no more visible armor than that. They don't have any sort of a weapon on them that you can see other than a very simple dagger at their side. I've come about the archaeologist.
Kotzi?
Our friend asked me to meet you. He's curious who you are and how you came to have his property.
You're not Kotzi.
They just look at you.
Well, I'm at a loss here, so if you want to grab a seat, we can discuss a few things.
They pull up a chair and sit down. How did you... Let's start here. Our friend would like to know how you came to have his property.
You mean this? And then he pulls out the sending stone.
They nod. Yes. That.
We found her dead.
Where?
Where would you say that was, Sven?
It was in the Politia. It was in the area we were going through, and there were a number of undead there. And when we stumbled upon it, she had already been killed by them. And then after we dispatched with them, that's when we stumbled upon that item.
Undead, you say?
Yeah, they looked undead to me, and I kind of know a little bit about them.
Well, I believe our friend would like to meet with you. If you would care to. Or I can simply take the property back and you can be on your way.
Rice?
Would you mind waiting outside while I discuss this with them?
Are you directing this to the tiefling?
Yes.
I will step outside.
Thank you.
And they stand up and walk out.
All right. If we go in there, then there's absolutely no chance that we survive if they want to kill us. So I don't know if it's a good idea or not. I would guess from the description that Bjorn gave us that they definitely have enough money to kill us. So I think that I think it's a good idea, but I know that I'll just have to be careful about what I say because I have no idea what this man's relationship is with my family.
Well, I guess we could always just give it back and then ask if it would be possible for us to meet at another time.
Like a mutual location, perhaps, or like a public place.
I'm fine with going inside alone.
Maple just real quick raises a hand. Just searching back through the old memory log here. We are talking about the silversmith, yes?
No.
Okay,
Talking
then
about
I am not on the same page as the rest of you. Like I said, I'm so sorry. I'm about a step behind with what we've been doing lately.
So this sending stone, Maple, is what we found on the dead drow by the undead.
That's what that is.
And
Fabulous. Okay.
And then when I sent the message, someone replied, and we asked Bjorn to spy on them, and they're apparently very rich.
Well, what is the benefit of meeting with this individual? I mean, just to have a meeting where we might potentially perish without knowing, what is the benefit? Is there any reason for us to do this?
I think the benefit is that he might be useful to us for us to make money, might be on the opposite side of the political dish as the one that we're working with right now. Might be the same man. I don't know who it is. I think we can at least wager a little bit with our good deed that we did earlier. Establish some decent rapport with the upper class in the town. Because if we don't do that, then I think we're at the mercy of whoever the criminal organizations in the city are, because they definitely will have some kind of deal with the true elves or my family.
Who's to say that we can't just go and return the stone and then leave? You know, at least they'll know our faces and who to thank, but we don't necessarily have to stick around.
We don't know anything about this group of people, so my vote is no, not see them. But, I mean, I feel like, they sent like some random, who knows what this, tiefling skills are. They could be nice to us, but they might not be, and we have no idea of knowing. No idea. No one has any idea. But maybe we could ask the burger man if we do the quest for him. I don't know.
This seems perilous without any concrete understanding of any benefit. Maybe it's possible to say that we would like to go ahead and return the item. But if that, because of that deed that we're doing, that maybe perhaps it would be possible for us to arrange a meeting another time.
I can just send that through the stone right now, actually. And then give it back to the tiefling.
Okay.
I think that might be a wise course of action. That way we're not accidentally walking into something that we're not ready for, but it also leaves that door open.
So we're staying at the bear bar, right?
Yeah, so we're going to have to move. We can't afford to stay at a fancy place every night.
Well, I understand how painful that was for you to say.
Mm-hmm. It's called Zovra, the bear bar.
The Zovra. Are we telling the individual on the other end where we're at? Are we comfortable with that at least?
I feel like they probably know who we are.
What do you mean?
So I don't really see. Yeah, I feel like might as well. If they, I'm just thinking about like what I can do magically, and like I can cast a spell that detects an object like 1,000 feet away. So depending on how much they wanted to know, they may have already known where we are staying. So.
Or maybe we could also just ask if we could leave word here for any future meetings, and then at that time get a response maybe from this tiefling again about.
That works. That's what I'll tell him.
I am very much enjoying not having to take a watch when we're all sleeping in a nice cozy bed. So if you guys are also in the same boat as me and you don't want to have to stay up all night anymore, maybe we should just tell them where we're going to be as a meeting place and not necessarily let them know where we're sleeping like sitting ducks.
Did we see any landmarks in the market? And then looks at Fen.
I'm sure there are various plazas that have, as we walk past, there's areas that we could just say, hey, that's a designated spot for us. That'll work.
Rice is going to send through the sending stone. Sorry, I lied. I'm Rice Uliston. We found this on your dead friend. Messenger, whatever. Returning the stone. If you want to hire us,
You're
marketplace.
Done. You're done.
You could just tell.
But I get to marketplace.
Forgot there was a limit.
So a moment.
They're still outside.
A moment goes by. I have questions, particularly given your name. If you bring me information, you will be rewarded.
Very well. He replied with that, and Rice explains and says, I really don't I don't trust anything. So I'm going Bryce gets up and gives the stone back to the tiefling outside and says, meet me in the marketplace tomorrow if your boss wants to discuss whatever. He asked me for information, but I'm not going to his home.
Oh, you wouldn't be meeting at his home. If you want to meet tonight, after sundown, Grafton Terrace, outside the Candlemaker, there'll be a gnome whittling. Ask them if they know where the meeting of travelers is. Follow them. But for now, I will take that. And they reach their hand out for the stone.
Rice hands it over, and then when he says all of that, he just slowly squints. He leans in and he says, is this a criminal job?
The
That's all I needed to
tiefling
know.
just smiles at you and shakes their head and pulls out of their pocket and hands you 2 platinum. That's for the stone.
Thank you. Have a
Enjoy
good
your
night.
And they
Rice will return.
wander their way off into the street.
All right. Rice sits back down and says, well, I think we have a criminal job. I wants to meet tonight at the Grafton Terrace. For the we're passing the message to whoever about the meeting of travelers. It sounds very shady. It's perhaps the shadiest thing that I've seen since I looked in the mirror.
That one was funny.
Well,
thank you.
We've got a while till sundown, and we've kind of already talked about this other job, so maybe we should at least go look at this Smith's area.
Ben, you
Let's
don't
see.
want to run around the whole town collecting a bunch of dabs and completing none of them? What?
Well, I mean, you know, I like.
It's good to have options. It's nice to have options.
You know, it's okay to wander around aimlessly. I tend to be an expert at it. It's almost as rambling as I am. But that said, it seems we do have some time to maybe at least go kind of do a spot check of this silversmith, especially since if this boy is held hostage, again, there's always something going on, but that could be time sensitive.
Right. Yeah, I agree. I'll go to going to scope out the blacksmithy place.
DM question for Chris.
Yes.
In Maplestown, was there a silversmith or something similar?
There would have been in days gone by the time you were old enough that you would have recognized anything like that. It would have been closed down. Your mother was about the only person still doing smithing in town, and exclusively like blacksmithing type work.
Okay, but as far as like which smiths deal with weapons, does Maple know?
Of course.
Because of her mom? Okay.
Yeah.
Does this smith? Based on the name?
You would not think that a silversmith would deal with weapons generally, but might do very high-end weapons. But unlikely. Most weapons would have been made by a blacksmith.
Okay. Just real quick, Maple will pull her axe, out of its little handle that she crafted on the side of Cloud's bag. I'm not gonna lie to you folks. This axe that I got before I left home, it's very nice. So I think it definitely fits in here in the Commonwealth. I would be more than happy, to start the conversation, about maybe ways to improve the axe if you guys want to take that time to look around and maybe take stock of the situation, maybe figure out an escape plan while we're there.
Look at Maple flexing a new muscle, that brain muscle. Wow.
She's
Look
a
at the
beam.
big brain on Maple.
I think that sounds like a good idea.
Okay, I get to talk first for once. You know, that sounds pretty exciting to me. And she's like squealing. She's so excited. Um,
All right. So you work your way over towards the district. This is now, as you ask directions, you're now getting into an area that is definitely laboring, right? There are wheelwright shops, there are coopers, there are blacksmiths, there are teamsters, groomers, things like this. This is where the work of the city is getting done, the much more industrial area. And asking around for Cymax, people point you in the right direction. As you approach, you see a one-story building with a short staircase that leads up to the entrance. The building itself sits on this cobble foundation that's solid all the way around. From the edges, from the what would be the south and north wall of the building. So the building faces west onto the street. The south and north wall, there is an 8-foot tall picket fence that stretches around the perimeter of the property. Inside that fence, you can see there's a 2-story barn that you can see from the street over sort of the top of the fence. You can see smoke drifting up from what one would imagine would be a forge for the kind of activity that's going on here. There is nobody standing directly out in front of the shop, but the door is open as you sort of walk in the vague direction of it.
Mabel's rehearsing what she's gonna say as they're walking.
Yeah, Finn's just going to be looking around as they're walking casually, just kind of trying to observe the building and its environs. As you just mentioned, there's the 8-foot picket fence, and there's the 2-story barn.
Yeah, so the fence is pretty solid all the way around. There's no real way to see through it. You are approaching from more of the east and on the north side of the building, sort of as you're coming around, and on that north side there is a gate in the fence that is closed. As you go past it, you don't see any other way in and out of the yard area. There's a alleyway that runs along the east side of the property, along that edge of the fence there as well. And then a street to the south.
Does this building have like a sign advertising that it's a silversmith?
Yeah, big sign hanging out front that says Cymax and has silver kind of etching inlaid, I should say.
As we're getting close, Cloud will say, well, I don't really have any spells prepared that are particularly like stakeout helpful. I did not really I should have thought about that actually when I woke up this morning, so perhaps I will just wait out here while those of you who have more of those skills can do your thing.
I'm happy to head in with you, Maple.
Okay, you know, bud, just go ahead and follow my lead, but if you wouldn't mind just going along with what I say, I'll probably introduce you as my guide, if that's fine.
Yep, that's fine. That is my job, and so that is what I basically do. And you definitely take the lead in your chat, and I just kind of want to see what the inside looks like and see if I notice anything irregular.
If you plan to talk quickly, Maple.
Oh, super fast, bud. You know, these gears move way quicker than they used to.
Cloud will place a paw on Maple's shoulder and cast guidance.
Okay.
So if you have to roll a d4 in the next minute, you got it. But if you talk longer, whatever.
Okay.
I'll just hang out outside on like the street corner and just observe.
Okay.
Xeris will hang with Cloud.
Okay. Rice, what are you going to do?
Rice is going to step around to the nearest alley and place a hand on himself, mutter a few words, and then cast invisibility on himself.
Okay.
And then he is going to go around the back, I believe, and
Okay.
check it out, see if there's anything around the back, and see what he notices.
All right, we'll get to you in a minute. Maple and Fen. As you walk into the building, you step inside. The shop is nice. It is not super fancy. It's definitely a working shop. But there are numerous silver pieces sort of on display. You could imagine either for sale or commissions that are waiting to be picked up. There is a human man who is legless that is sitting on the counter, and he greets you as you walk in. All right, what do you need?
Oh, hi, good evening. My name's Maple. This is my guide Fen. He's just showing me around the Commonwealth.
Pleasure.
First time.
Pleasure.
You know, I'm having an absolute dandy time here so far.
It's a wonderful
little
place.
town you've got.
Thank you. What can I do for you?
I collect weapons, okay, but they're not just any old weapons, you see. And she'll go ahead and take out her axe and just hold it in front. It is beautiful and gold, and it has her last name carved into it, and it has a wonderful
Very nice.
golden maple leaf.
Very nice.
I was just wondering, you know, because there are so many different shops to choose from here in the Commonwealth. I'm looking for the best weapon that I can get. You know, we came here as adventurers for jobs. So, of course, if I want to do a good job, I need the best weapon for the job. And I don't think that just anywhere has the kind of nice weapons that you silversmiths do. So if you would be so kind as to maybe give me a tour of your building so I can see what puts you above the rest, and maybe I'll do business with you. And Maple will give Fen a tap and say, you know what? Why don't you show the man one of the nice platinum we have? You know, show him that we can afford their services.
Finn reaches in, his hand trembling because he's not sure he's ever held a platinum piece before, and just kind of holds it out on his palm.
So the man looks at you when you say "show me around." He looks at the space that you can see the entirety of, then looks down at where his legs would be and looks up. Looking behind the counter, you would now see that there's a young child sitting there on a just on a crate. Go fetch your master. And the child steps up and scurries outside. He'll be with you in a minute. And a moment or two goes by, and in comes a half-orc. Gray skin. He's got scars all over the backs of his hands and down his neck, sort of running down his cheek a little bit. Comes in. As he approaches, you see that he wears a leather apron. He's got tools poking out of the apron, a hammer at his side. Can I help you?
Yeah, you know, I'm just looking for a finer weapon than this, although I do have to say it's pretty fine already. But word around town is that you guys have a pretty good selection, so I was just wondering if you could help me out.
Sure. And he points at the axe.
Oh, I mean, you know, this axe likes me very much, so I'd prefer to keep my hands on it if possible.
Just put it on the counter.
Okay. Maple will put it on the counter, but keep a hand on it.
He doesn't reach for it or anything. He's looking
Okay.
at it. It's nice. Do you you just want silver added to it? What do you need?
Oh, you know what? I actually wasn't sure if that was something I could do to it, but you know, I'm always looking to improve. You don't have anything that's better than this here axe, do ya?
I could make something, but on hand, no. We can, if you feel like you need silver added to it, we can add silver to it, but if you need a blade...
Okay. Well, if you don't mind me asking, what's your asking price to silver a weapon?
He looks at it. I'm asking now because I don't know. Is this a double-bladed weapon or a single-bladed weapon?
Double.
Okay. So he looks at it. Well, I can do the one side for you. With the labor. 100 gold.
Okay, why just one side, if you don't mind me asking?
He looks at you a little odd. You use this to fight, right?
Yeah, I do, but you know, I
Silver-
sometimes when I
Silver doesn't keep a very good edge. Kind of soft. Mushes pretty hard. Folks usually only use silver if they're going after the undead. It's not something that they normally use for cutting down trees or the like. So I think you want to keep one edge normal. Well, if you leave it with me, I could have it for you in a week.
Oh goodness. You know what? I'm actually not sure if we're going to be around for that much longer. I mean, is there a chance that you could speed that up if I tip you nice? She winks.
How much are you talking?
Oh, I mean, as long as you make it worth my while, I guess that would be up for a future discussion. But I mean, probably I would say 20% of the actual cost. So that would be what? 20 gold maybe on top of the 100?
120, I can have it for you in 4 days.
Okay, well, you know what? If you don't mind me asking, like I said, I'm pretty new to this whole thing. Could I watch you do any part of it? You know, do you do it here in store or do you have to send it away?
Forges and back.
Oh, okay. I mean, would you mind showing me what it looks like? I just want to make sure my axe is in good hands, you know.
Make a persuasion roll.
Okay. That's a nat 20.
Secret Agent Maple.
He looks at you. All right, come on.
I am
And
shocked.
leads you out around the counter, out the back door. Fen, give me an investigation check, because I'm sure you are paying a lot of attention.
Yes.
I love this.
Then rolls a natural 1 for a 3.
Okay.
And so it's still staring at the platinum piece in
Yes,
his hand.
exactly. Fen is still very flustered by the platinum piece. Maple, go ahead and give me an investigation check as well.
That'd be a 15.
All right, so as you are walking out of the building, Maple, you notice that there is a small rug that is on the floor immediately behind the counter. You head out the back door. When you get outside, there is a 2-story barn that is in what would be the southeast corner of the property. There is a fire pit more towards sort of the centered between east and west and closer to the north end of the lot. There you see 2 or 3 guards just sort of sitting about, spears and kind of leaned up against the fence, not paying any particular mind. They're not looking at you as you come out because Cymax with you. He walks you over towards the barn. Just outside the barn, he has a workstation set up. There is the forge itself, which is much smaller than the forges that you're used to seeing because silver does not require the kinds of heat that iron does to work. There are a couple of anvils, a larger anvil and a much smaller, very nicely polished anvil. Many of the tools are covered in leather. There's a nice workbench there. The barn itself is open on what would be the north end, and you see inside that it's a straw covered floor. There's crates, there's materials, doesn't appear to be anything particularly interesting in there. He takes about 5 minutes and sort of explains the process of silvering one side of this blade in such a way where it can be strong enough to be used if you need a silvered edge to deal with an undead creature or something like that, but still retaining enough of its structural integrity that it can be sharpened. He does let you know that depending upon how much you have to sharpen this, it will wear down and need to be redone. If you're swinging this edge around rapidly, you're going to blunt it or crack it or destroy it. Silver being a very dissimilar metal.
I think what Maple will do after being given the tour, after all of that, does he take them back into the building?
Yes. If
Okay.
you're done having a conversation with him, he will lead you back inside. At that, Rice, you are doing what outside?
So there's 3 guards outside the barn, correct?
Yeah, you wouldn't see them because you're on the outside of the fence.
Okay. And along the fence, is there a back gate or anything like that?
There's a gate on the north side of the property
Mhm.
that is, if you attempt to check it at all, it is locked. As you make a sort of sweep around the perimeter of the property, there is no other gate that you can see.
How tall is the fence?
8 feet.
Was there anything on top preventing someone from climbing over?
No,
What's it made of?
it's wood.
Okay. Rice is going to circle back to the front entrance, and is the door open?
It is.
It's going to walk in. Who's at the counter?
Are you still invisible?
Yes.
Okay. The guy that Maple and Fen saw is still sitting on the counter.
Okay. Is the door, are the doors that they went through, are they open? Rice doesn't know any of this. I'm just asking if the door is open.
Sure. Why not?
So I could infer that they probably went in the back. Okay. So follow the route. Is there another door open leading to outside?
There is.
Okay. He's going to go through that.
Make
He's
a
going to
stealth
take a look.
check.
Okay. He's going to take a look at the guards if he can.
Well, let's see if you get out of the building.
Ooh. 17.
All right. You are able to very gingerly work your way around and out to the yard. How long does your invisibility last? An hour?
1 hour, yes.
Okay. So you work your way around and out to out through the back door. At this point, you can see where Maple and Fen are having a conversation with Simac. You can see where the guards are hanging out around the fire. You can see the barn.
Okay. Heading back inside, do I see any entrances to anything, trapdoors or anything like that leading elsewhere?
Go ahead and make an investigation check.
8.
You don't see anything in particular that would lend itself to that thought.
Okay. Rice is going to go back out the front.
Okay. Make another stealth roll.
Okay. 3.
You run into the edge of a table and a item wobbles a little bit, and the guy who's sitting on the counter looks over, very unsure, but doesn't say or do anything. You're able to make your way out without any further problem.
Okay. Yeah, Rice is going to rejoin Cloud.
Okay. All right. So Maple and Fen, you are brought back in. Do you want to leave the work?
You know what, bud? I actually wanted to let you know I have one more possible client that's willing to do this to my weapon. We have a couple other friends in the city. That's why I was asking you what your price was, see? Because I'm a big fan of price matching. I don't know if you know what that is, but it's when you ask one place what their price is, then you ask the other place what their price is, and you can compare a little bit,
Who,
So I was wondering.
who else is looking at it for you?
Oh, I don't know the name. Fen's actually going to show me to it.
He looks to you. Where Where's this other silversmith?
Well, I don't know if it's a silversmith, but somebody said they might be able to do something, just another smith along the way. I'm not a regular up here. I just kind of make my way back and forth.
All right.
That's why I was wondering if you had any wiggle room on the price. Has that changed?
100 gold for the work.
Okay.
That-
How,
that-
No, go ahead, Ben.
And that's why we came here first, because you have a reputation for craftsmanship. But so just wanted
By far the best reviews, absolutely. But I'll go ahead and tell you what. And Fed would know. And Maple kind of like drags a fingertip down Fen's cheek. I tip very heavily, if you know what I mean. And she goes, actually, I have a little tidbit about my axe that I think you might want to know. Can you and she like gestures for the man to like bend down.
He leans in.
Okay. So she goes to whisper in his ear and kisses his cheek. Oh, bud, I accidentally slipped. I am so sorry. She goes,
Make a persuasion check.
Advantage, clearly.
I hate myself. That's only an 8.
Okay. He nods. Doesn't say anything.
Okay, so I just want to know, when do you guys close today? I'll probably be back.
Here till sundown.
Okay, duly noted. And she gives him both the gun show and the bun show on the way out.
Okay. That's gonna be a t-shirt, just so you know.
Wow.
So, you and Fen go ahead and leave the building. Do you rejoin the others?
Yes. Mabel would like to
Just,
reconvene with everyone and usher them to a location where she can discuss a plan.
Okay.
Just for shits and giggles, while everybody was gone, Cloud was gonna have Azirus kind of cover for them slightly, so they can turn their back and cast detect magic and just have it up randomly just in front of the shop.
Okay. What's the radius on detect magic?
30 feet, but
Okay.
it doesn't go through certain.
You don't get any sense of magic items coming off the front of the shop until Cloud and Fen walk out, and as you saw before, you see the little bit of magic emanating from Maple's pouch where she keeps her letters.
Did I know that they were magic before?
Yes.
Mhm.
Oh gosh. Okay. Whoops.
Cloud did.
All right, carry on to the
Yes.
alley where we discuss
Yes,
what happens.
Cloud was aware.
Cloud was aware. I take terrible notes.
I think on the way over to their rendezvous point, Mabel will nudge Fen. Fen, I am so sorry for putting you on the spot like that, but I just want to apologize. I did not ask for consent first. But I hope I didn't invade your personal space too much,
I haven't really had a lot of personal space in a long time, frankly. So it didn't anything. And to be honest, I'm sorry. I pulled out that platinum, and I don't think I've ever carried a platinum piece before. So I was so distracted that it was probably, when you did that, it actually kind of brought me back to my game a little bit. So no harm, no foul, as they say.
Okay, but we're in the same boat with the platinum. Cloud will absolutely continue to carry all of our money. I swing around too many pointy objects to be trusted with things this big that are worth this much. So we can continue on just like we've been going. In other news, hi everybody, I found out that my weapon can be silvered, which kills, wait for it, undead. What about that? Okay? Everybody think that's a good idea for me to try and do with some of our new money? What do we think?
Rice claps. He's still standing there invisibly next to Cloud.
Oh.
And then
so I'm assuming you relay everything you learned, both of you, or
Yeah, Rice
Yes.
just lets the group know and he drops the invisibility.
And then Mabel will go, in other news, I think, and I don't know if I got the impression or not, but Fan, did he look when I gave him the gun and buncho? Did you notice? I couldn't turn around. That breaks the illusion.
I gotta admit, I don't think he was persuaded, but that wasn't for your lack of charm. I think that was rather his own officious airs.
Okay. Well, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. This is my first plan. So I'm gonna go ahead and just lay it all out. Okay. So what if we all walk in and I'm gonna tell you how convenient is this? The helper doesn't have any legs. So we walk in, we can get past that guy, lickety split, okay? But the little boy is just kind of running amok. So I figure if I go in and say I'm gonna give this man my business, I might also imply that I would give him my other business. We can go out back and I'll say, are you ready for your hefty tip? Or something, along the lines of that. And then we could probably go ahead and just have one of you guys sneak into the conveniently placed rug that I think leads to the basement. So what do you guys think? I'll be the distraction. I've never gotten to be the distraction before.
Finn is just blushing because he just said the words tip and hefty, and it throws him off even more than the platinum piece did.
Azir's is in the exact same boat.
Does anybody else have any other suggestions? Any other plans? I am fully willing to listen.
Question. Does anybody have any idea why that man didn't have legs?
No, bud. Just looked like they were missing. Looks like they've been missing for a while.
Yeah, I admit it's not usually something I try to ask somebody right about first time I've ever met them. My only concern, Maple, is if there's an alarm or something, is it wise to do it during the day, or would it be better to try to do it at night?
Well, I will tell you guys, he did say that they close at sundown, but I'm just worried that he might take the boy with him when they close.
But do you think that boy was? And Chris, how old was the boy that was sitting on the thing in the back?
About 8.
Yeah, I don't think that was the boy, Maple. I think the one we're looking for is older than that and is hidden away.
Oh,
Chris.
sure. I mean, I meant he might try to take both of them.
Chris, looking at the outside exterior, does it look like he lives on this property that he works? Or from what others have seen?
Go ahead and make an investigation check.
Oh dear.
Would that have been something that Maple would have noticed from the inside? Are there stairs or a ladder leading to a loft?
Yeah, that's a natural one.
You wouldn't so there was nothing that Maple would have seen. Cloud, from the outside, you would not have been able to tell if there was anything. Maple, thinking about it, you would imagine that if anything, maybe it's the second, the loft area of the barn, but you didn't actually get into the barn to see whether or not there was any sort of living space up there. So it wasn't something that you looked for. The shop itself is just a one-story. You saw the entirety of the inside of the shop.
Alternatively, I will say that sometimes there's less guard at night, but I don't know, maybe more. I don't know.
Think
One
it
of
might
the-
be-
Go ahead, it's yours.
I think it might be a good idea to try at night first, and if our efforts are fruitless, then we can try during the day.
It would give us an excuse to warm up to going to see that skeevy fella at sundown. We could maybe work our way up to that. Maple says purely for herself while her hands shake a little bit.
I noticed in the back that the gate is locked. And I suppose, well, never mind. I won't be able to do this trick again. And waves his hand in front of his face. Until tomorrow. Just so that we're aware. It's a one-time deal.
Exactly a team built for stealth stuff.
Usually
Maple is
more
nodding
direct.
furiously.
Yeah.
More direct and offensive.
So this will be very difficult for us.
Can we also keep in mind that Maple can't see very well at night, or at all for that matter? So I would be purely a distraction and probably not too good with the follow through.
Do we perhaps want to wait until tomorrow so that you can have your spell back? I feel it will be very handy.
I think that's the best bet because I can at least attempt to look under the rug and not be immediately spotted rather than just, there's a drow in my shop looking under, behind the counter. That's not suspicious. So
Yeah, I mean, I am able to get around unseen at times. So maybe if we do something, we have to do something with it as a distraction, and that maybe helps us out. I don't know. Doesn't even have to be a distraction in the area. It could be a distraction in the general vicinity that maybe the gods are here and are like, oh, what happened over there or something.
Azirus and I start a fight. Get it?
Azirus, the past minute, has looked like he's been about to say something, and then kind of stopped and just kind of looked down, and he has been since then mourning his old spells that he no longer has, because some of them would have been very handy, and he is just standing there just going kind of shaking his head, and then he looks up and just goes,
are you just thinking about it, or are you trying to cast any of them?
oh no, he's just thinking about it.
Okay.
Thanks for asking.
Just checking.
But when Cloud says that, he kind of just looks up and just goes, I'm sorry, pardon?
It was a joke, like the ones that Rice makes.
So
it's a shame, but I was fully about to give you a full-on one-on-one combat lesson. Anytime I'm willing to do that for you.
His face just goes red again.
So
I have money on Azirus.
At this point, you all have been sort of at this now for a couple hours. By the time you've navigated your way over there, you've sort of done this investigation a little bit. It's getting into late afternoon. So you what do you want to do?
I don't know. Should we go go ahead.
We do need to talk about the thing we haven't mentioned yet, and whether or not we're going to, what's our conditions for killing him.
What?
I personally would say, do we really want to take the additional risk of killing? I would say that if we decide to go forward with this, that we would try to rescue first without killing, but if necessary, kill. And my only hesitation is that could muddle some things and make things difficult for us here. But I guess part of my question is, are we trying to do this tonight, or are we going to try to do this tomorrow when maybe we have some time to prepare?
Tomorrow, I think.
Yeah.
And, I also believe you all know my stance on this particular subject.
Were we given a time frame from Dad?
No.
You were not.
Okay.
I will point out that the man who hired us was interested in his death, so I don't mind not killing people. I'm just saying that he'll probably be a little upset.
He gave us two options, though, and yes, there's more money with the one. So, he knew that was a possibility.
Right. Well, maybe I'm just still reeling from not killing kobolds and then him turning around and hiring other people to kill us because we didn't fulfill what he actually wanted.
Azirus again kind of looks away thoughtfully.
Yeah, looking back on that, Buds, I do not like how that turned out. But in other news, I just want to say, isn't it kind of illegal to steal another person's child and keep them in your basement? I'm just saying, I wonder if we tell the right people after we get the kid back. The kid's old enough to tell people what happened to them, so I don't think we would even have to kill the guy for him to not steal another kid in the future. All we would have to do is tell the right people, and maybe they could put him away for a little while so he can learn a lesson.
Well, go ahead, Rice.
So we tie him up in the barn.
Well, I believe the man we were speaking to said that contacting authorities on this is not the best option.
Yeah.
Well-
Yeah.
I think Maple could probably get him to tie himself up in the barn personally, but
Oh, but I'm 1000% willing to try.
I swear to God, I gotta
Azir's
quit
just-
putting orcs in front of you. I don't know what it is.
Azir's literally just like takes a moment to process that, and again, just face completely beat red, and he just kind of like turns away.
Well,
This
why?
is definitely a tricky one because we don't know the city, we don't know the politics, we don't understand the hierarchy, we don't understand how much this man owns, controls, has money in. This is a very, very hard one.
Sounds like
Could
a
I-
puzzle.
Could I propose a course of action then? We are supposed to maybe have another encounter this evening. Maybe that'll add another layer of our understanding of the city. And that way, at least we find out some more information this evening. We also find out maybe about other opportunities, and then we can head over to the Zobra. Is that where we're staying tonight?
the bear
Cloud?
bar.
The Bear Bar.
Dobra, aka Bear Bar.
Okay.
I
Well,
Oh,
I agree
I-
that
you
we
That
should.
sounds fine, but it might help. It might just muddy the situation with more shit on top of what we already think we know. So, either
well,
way,
I do know one thing. I have successfully got one other orc to like me, which means, with my new understanding of fractions, that would be 1 out of 2. Okay, so now we have exactly a right down the middle split. It could go either way, you know?
things are looking up.
Azir's just kind of looks at her, and then looks to the
Yeah.
rest of the group.
I think we should finish this discussion later tonight in private, probably.
I agree. We don't know who
yeah,
this-
I would say let's head to that meeting spot, and then after that, maybe we can retire and give.
Was the meeting spot like after dark or was it sundown?
Just
Was
after
that-
sundown.
Okay.
Probably take a while to walk over there.
Sure.
So
yeah, I'm
you're
open
gonna
Sorry, Fen. You had something to add.
No, continue.
so you guys are gonna go ahead and make your way towards the
Grafton Terrace.
Grafton Terrace area and meet with the
Grafton Terrace.
see what happens there.
Maple's fellow whittler, yes. The
Okay.
pro.
Do we know from just walking around the city like what this festival is about?
Sure. So
I feel
you've
like
heard
they probably are telegraphing it everywhere.
So, very near to the Invictus, there was a very large stage set up. There is bunting going up all over the place. You see quite a few units of soldiers moving about, whatnot. The center square of the town has just been completely cleared, and there is sort of a set of pickets that have been put up around the square that's being sort of closed to ready access by nobody's allowed to walk through it, basically. So from looking at the staging, looking at all of this, you can tell that whatever is going to be happening this evening is going to be happening in this square area itself.
Sure, but like, is it like a festival of Palor, a whatever?
Sure. So what you would have gathered by this point is that it is celebrating the investiture of Praetor Forbertus as the Praetor of the Commonwealth. So basically the first among equals, sort of the head of the Commonwealth. So this is more set up to be a political festival than
It's a
sort of a
political festival.
common festival. And from having overheard enough conversation and probably asked enough people about this throughout the day, what you've come to understand is that when these investitures happen, the very first thing that happens is a large military parade and a proclamation. And then the 3 days after that are more of the sort of typical kind of revelry festivals where then the populace comes together for games of chance and events like that. So the first night is very much this sort of somber kind of ceremony, and then it gives way to something that's a little more carnival-like.
Question.
Yes.
As far as the festival, we see them preparing in this plaza. Do the festivities and the excitement carry over into different areas, such as the industrial area?
Right now, everything seems to be centered around the main square, but there is hustle and bustle going on. Nobody's really able to do a whole lot of setting up per se, because again, the very first day of this is regarded as being this very sort of solemn thing. Almost think like a coronation would be.
Yeah.
And so then it's kind of everything then kind of happens after that.
Is it something that the citizens of the city are expected to attend, and it's happening this evening as far as the coronation?
You would imagine that a lot of people would be attending based upon the conversations that you've heard.
Okay. Thank you.
Sure.
Just a real quick thing, before we go and meet people in a part of town that is going to be conveniently isolated from the rest of town, who's going to be very busy at this festival. Does that worry us at all that no one's going to be able to hear us scream if anything bad happens? That seems pretty convenient, don't you think?
I was actually thinking, well, there is that for that. I was actually thinking it could be helpful in the other thing as well, if it means
like
fewer people around.
A distraction, bud? Is that what you're implying?
It sounds like just we're not even creating a distraction as much as there is a gigantic citywide distraction that's going to be followed by everybody.
That's a good point, bud. That's a real good point.
It will mean we might have to hasten our actions on that first thing, but we'll have to figure that out, I guess.
Okay, well, I guess we have to go meet these buds to go yeet that bud out of the basement. So let's get her going.
It was a very strategic suggestion.
All right. So what's the plan? What are we doing?
I think we're going to this shady meeting, right?
We're going to this seemingly nothing but criminal meeting.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Seems like there's no benefit, but yes. Okay. What are other people's thoughts?
I'll just tell you guys, you have definitely gotten the vibe from Maple that she is very excited about one plan and not excited at all about the other plan. So
I wonder why.
So she doesn't.
Sorry.
No, you know what? I'll go ahead and say in character real quick. Just so everybody knows, the only reason that I'm coming along on this one is because I'm the one with the big axe. So if anything does go haywire, I feel like you guys will all kind of be sitting ducks. No offense. If anything bad happens. So I'm very willing to be protection. But also I'm not really sure how good of an idea it is to meet strangers in a city of already a lot of strangers.
Yeah. I think that is convincing enough for me to vote pass on my end. Perhaps if they are really that interesting or actually have good I don't know, incentives or whatever, we will encounter them again.
I would say that it's enough for me to get within range of them, and maybe send this convenient small man that's going to lead us there off to see if, what their intentions are. And if he starts running with the rest of them towards us, then I would like to think that we're still going to be far enough to a way to escape. But that is the only way I'm going to approach them.
Well, if that's how y'all feel, and if the sole purpose for this was maybe another job and money, maybe we should take advantage of this distraction that the city is planning, the whole Commonwealth is planning this evening. And I guess it's that we're trying to figure out, you mentioned ratio, Maple.
Fen, go ahead and make a history check.
That's a 12.
Cool. You would have been in and out of the Commonwealth enough to know that even though you've never been to an investiture like this, you've never been around for something like this, that as much as this is likely to be a very big day, that the sort of 3 days of carnival-like atmosphere that follow it will be much more heavily attended, much more rambunctious, much more active, and a much better likelihood of a distraction. This is a lot more like the wedding. The next 3 days are like the reception.
Okay. Well, then rewind, scratch what I said, DJ. Well, then on that, God, if there's going to be a big festival, then it sounds like that might provide people are going to be drinking and not as observant, and we could probably even blend in a bit better. So if that's the case, then maybe we try with the party time tomorrow, and we figure out our best way.
I mean, I am fully willing, just as a fellow whittler, to maybe approach this. Is it a gnome? Is that what it is?
That's
Okay.
what they said.
Yeah, so I mean, I can pull up a stump, sit next to the gnome, and maybe like strike up a little bit of whittling talk, not even mentioning anything about that secret phrase that we have. And just see if like they'll tell me why they're hanging out. And maybe we can get there without a lead, because I kind of worry a little bit that maybe they might be able to warn whoever it is that we're coming. And I really don't want strangers to have reinforcements against us when we're only delivering something that they want. I mean, if they wanted it bad enough, wouldn't they just come and get it? Why would we need to get led to anything?
Maple, I've already given the stone back.
Wait, what?
Yeah, we've already given the stone back.
Oh.
I'm a fan
this
of
is just a
going
meeting.
to potentially, if people are interested, I'm a fan of going tomorrow night. I think that's what was happening.
Right. So here's what I'll say about it, and this is just my opinion. So I'm not very set on this. I think it's rather exciting for me, but I will say that we can't just trust the rich fellow who hired us for the other job either. And these sort of people are just as willing to discard us. He called me a creature after I saved his life. So
I agree.
do you understand what I'm saying? Like, we can't trust anybody. It doesn't matter.
Oh, totally.
Okay.
And that's why we have to move back to the bear bar, because we cannot afford to stay at the fancy place. I think that we
Absolutely.
be very careful what we do.
And it's not at all to get Maple a date.
Oh, that's okay, bud. My head is filled with lots more ideas than just flirting anymore.
That's good.
Well, then why don't we prepare ourselves for the endeavor we're currently on, try to do an operation, frankly, that is less dangerous to us, and maybe a rescue operation. And then if it requires more, we do it if we have to. And then from that, at least that gives us something there. And then we can maybe follow up with the others another time.
I like that.
Nods.
All right. So you guys are going to head back towards the Zovra then? Is that the plan?
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Yeah,
So-
along the way, just kind of browsing the fancy clothes.
Sure. So you have to navigate your way back towards sort of the center of town and back out. And as all of this has been going on, you've had your conversations, you've been walking, it's been getting progressively later in the day. You can now see that a large number of people have assembled around that town square area, and there are groups of soldiers that are flanking either side of the stage. Rice, there's about 12 on either side. You see a handful of more senior looking type folks approach and walk up on the stage. Now the crowds have sort of kind of begun to gather around and are waiting for everything that's going to unfold. Are you going to stay to observe this, or are you just going to continue on your way towards the bar?
Rice is going to stop and
Yeah.
touch one of the others and say, maybe we should see this?
Well, guess it's not something you see every day.
We're not doing anything else tonight, right? We're just going back to sleep.
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
Is it dark at this point?
It's getting darker.
This
It's
is
not
probably
it's
like
not
a
past
lit event, though.
sunset yet. It's not past
Oh,
sunset yet, but there are torches lit.
Okay.
Okay.
It's lit well enough that all of the human population would be able to see.
No, thank you for the clarification, Steph.
Yeah.
As we're finding a place to stand to like kind of just observe, Cloud will just kind of like touch Maple real quick on the arm. I was wondering if perhaps you wanted me to make your axe a little bit brighter permanently, because I could cast a spell that like makes it like have like a little flame on the top of it, but it's not actually a real flame, and you can like cover it with like, I don't know, a cap or something if you want it to be sneaky.
Okay, bud. I mean,
Or if you
know
have
what?
another spot you would like me to do it. I'll just
as fun as I think it would be to have a little floating fire above my head there, Claude, I think putting it on my axe sounds like a wonderful idea. You decorate mine, I decorate yours, bud. Equal exchange. What do you say?
that sounds real fair.
She'll hand it over then. She's pumped.
Then Cloud will take kind of just like on the side. We're assuming we're surrounded by our party members, so it's not super obvious.
Yeah, and there's a
we'll
big crowd.
We'll take out 50 gold worth of the ruby dust,
Okay.
and cast continual flame on the top of Maple's axe.
Okay.
So it will just be a tiny flame on the top of your axe forever,
I love
unless
that
it's
so
been
much.
dispelled.
Okay. Make sure Maple offline knows the specific details of how that may
Yes.
hinder any sort of stealthiness or things like that, so she can be aware.
I'm thinking that we can probably get some kind of like, I don't know, thing that you can like put on top of it, you know,
A
to douse
continual
it. It could be-
flame doily of some sort. Or
yes, to cover it.
Just the
a
sauce.
bushel
Because
basket,
it-
perhaps.
It doesn't actually like create fire, so
Yes.
you can just cover it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Easily done. You guys can work that out. So, as all of this is going on, as Cloud is casting this spell, and you see Maple's axe begin to glow as the evening progresses, you hear the murmur of the crowd around you talking, and one of the more noble-looking individuals walks up to the center of this stage, and you hear individuals around you go, Magnet Kiskin, and you gather that this is the mayor for Casina. He walks up and stands at the front of this stage area. A noble day is upon us. As the sun sets, our Commonwealth acclaims the investiture of Her Excellency Clara Praetor Forbertus as Praetor of the Commonwealth. I invite Burger Schumpeter for the proclamation. And the man who Rice, you and Cloud had met with and tended to comes up. He's now wearing very formal robes with heavy gold cordage coming down the front. He walks up. Hail, my fellow citizens. I bring from Akkart news of Her Excellency's investiture. She who led our mighty army on campaign in Clausthal. She who has guided our soldiers to tame the savage land. She has returned to assume the mantle. She sends me with her love and adoration for you, the citizens we have sworn to protect. And with me today come representatives of her very own squadron to display a discovery that we believe will secure our borders, secure our future from the scourges who seek to corrupt our home. Commander, please. And you hear a voice in the distance. Rice, you would recognize this as someone calling a group to attention and to begin a march. A drum beat is taken up, and you hear the sound of these footfalls as a dozen soldiers march into view. Each of them is carrying a long lance held at the waist and held out before them, almost as if they had a flag on the end, but there is no such flag. Each of them is wearing armor that none of you have seen before. It has the cut and articulation of a plate mail style armor, but you can tell even at this distance that it is really more of a padded leather, and rather than any kind of a traditional helm or helmet, they have this leather helm that comes down, and the eyes are just barely open. It's not the traditional slit that you have in a traditional visor type helm. As they reach the center of the square, you see one more soldier appear, dressed in very similar armor, but this one has on the chest of the armor is a red dragon painted and emblazoned on the armor. And you hear from the individual with the red dragon on their chest, 2, 3, fire! And with that, the ends of the lances, a gout of flame emerges from each, and you see these bright flashes in the sky and these loud claps that sound like thunder. The people around you are very taken aback, very surprised by this. You hear another 2, 3, fire, and another round of this fire flashes out of the end of the lances, and these reports in the sky happen, and you hear people now murmuring amongst themselves, what is that? What is it? Magic? I've never what? And people are very confused by all of this. A third fire and volley lets out, and you now hear from Burger Schumpeter. It is Her Excellency's exploration that brings us these new weapons of defense. 3 chairs for Praetor Forbertus. Hup hup huzzah! Hup hup huzzah! Hup hup huzzah! Long may she reign. And that's where we're going to end for this evening. So, thank you for joining us this evening. We look forward to you joining us next Wednesday for another adventure in Umbranthal. And, if you're available, Mondays, 6 p.m. Eastern, Keeps and Conversations with our very own Alta Mirage. Thanks again to all of you who rated, who followed, who subscribed. We love you all very much, and we will see you next week. Cheers.